Hey everybody, it's Matt and Lex dialing in from the future.
Hello.
Woo! We just wanted to jump in before the episode today because, as you saw last week, we had part 2 of chapter 4 dropped early as a bit of a fun surprise so we could catch ourselves up a bit. But it turned out to also be an extra celebration because we hit a cool milestone for the podcast.
We did. We hit 10,000 downloads, which is insane. We're both kind of mind blown that there's that many people who want to hear us yap. So thank you all so much. It's amazing.
10,000 downloads is one thing, and then I thought about it for a second as like, each of those downloads is more than an hour of talking every time.
Every time.
More than 10,000 hours of people having listened to us talk. Are you guys okay?
Wow, you guys are amazing, honestly.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm so glad there's so many trail sickos.
Thank you so much for coming along on the journey in this, our first year. 10,000 downloads in a year, that is crazy. But we appreciate you guys so much. I hope you've been enjoying the podcast and will continue to enjoy it in the future because you made a mistake. You gassed us up and now we won't stop. And that is on you. Thank you, everybody, for making the number go up.
Yeah, exactly.
Now we will hand it over to our past selves who are blissfully ignorant of how much you guys enjoy listening to us talk. So
I had no idea.
all right, love you, bye.
Love you, bye. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Trails Through Trails, the podcast where we play through the long-running Trail series game by game, chapter by chapter. I'm one of your hosts, Lex, and I use she, her pronouns.
And I'm Matt, I use he, him.
And today we're playing through chapter 5 of Trails in the Sky, the third.
A whole chapter all at one go, and also some doors that are going to talk to us for varying amounts of time. Which I remember which doors they are. Moon and some stars.
My grandparents have these portrait things hanging on their wall that are like doors of Amsterdam or doors of like different cities. They're like pictures of different front doors that are like in interesting architectural styles or something like that. And I keep thinking of that when I play these games. I'm like, my life has just turned into like a wallpaper of doors.
The thing that keeps getting me is I look at the design of the star door because when I first sketched up the idea for our cover art for this season of the two of us standing in front of the door, I just drew a big, perfectly geometrically correct star on the doors because, look, you can't get a good look at the star doors from any screenshots. They're so tiny and pixelated. So when Alioson kind of drew it as this slanted kind of wibbly star, I was like, oh, that's fun artistic license. And then we got into the actual game and was like, oh no, they just also didn't know how to draw a star. It is the weirdest, most dog shit looking star. And the moon is perfect.
True.
The sun, I don't remember because I've blacked out the one sun door that I've done already.
I don't remember.
It's just fun that it's like a drunk star, which is pretty on target for some of the contents of them being so wild.
It's pretty fitting, honestly.
But that's right, the doors we're doing are Moon Door 4, Star Door 6, and Star Door 7.
See, I'm here and I'm like, I don't remember what the stars look like on the doors. I've never even looked that close. So I'm sitting here like,
I only noticed it because when you go into the chamber and you see that big, like, stained glass one, it is the same shape as on the door itself. It's just clearer.
Oh, yeah.
But it's so kind of like...
Oh, yeah. Okay. I don't know why I never noticed that, but we know I'm a visually unobservant person, so that's what it comes down to. But yeah, I don't have much to report about my last 2 weeks, honestly. Real life has been busy and stressful, so I played Venba, which was great, but it took an hour and a half.
Oh, yeah.
And I played a game demo for a game called Desktop Explorer. And I'm really excited for the full release, but it was only a demo, so there's not much to report.
Oh, is this the one where it, like, weaponizes your Steam library against you or something?
No. This is like, the idea is like you're exploring somebody's desktop, figuring out a mystery, and it's kind of horror.
Oh, okay.
And it's really good. If you like computer or web simulation,
like the UI simulator type things, yeah.
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. It's really fun for like the bit I've played, but it's a demo, so I don't have that much to report. But yeah, what about you? You always have games to report on, so.
I do. So it will be out at time of release. I'm currently reviewing Yoshi and the Mysterious Book for Switch 2.
Yes, you are.
Which is a game that, at first glance, It didn't really hit for me just on first exposure to the concept. I kind of didn't like the art style, the kind of
Hmm.
simulated illustrations of them inside the mysterious book. It has grown on me, but it's a weird little game.
Yoshi and the Death Note.
I mean, that would be a different take on it, but it might be more interesting. Yeah, it doesn't really have levels so much as little puzzle boxes. You look in the book in each of the chapters, you see all the different Yoshi's Island creatures, and you sort of zoom in on them and go and investigate them so you can find out what they are, what they do, their behaviors, and give them a name at the end. So you're just sort of going around this little area with a bunch of a particular type of enemy and finding different ways to interact with it. Like, what's one of the early ones? Yeah, there'll be like these little flower guys, and if they're wilted and you put water on them, they'll grow. So it highlights that. And if you bury them in the ground, they'll grow into a big plant, and you make a note of that. And you just kind of trigger all these different interactions between enemies and items in the world, or between different enemies. Like they'll have like interaction patterns as well. And you're just sort of filling out this like Animal Planet book. You're basically Yoshi as David Attenborough,
Hmm.
kind of investigating these animals.
That's amazing.
And then at the end, once you've hit a few sort of milestone ones, it'll say, okay, you've discovered enough for us to kind of put a name to this creature, and you can name them whatever you want. But also, the book, Mr. E, will give you their actual name as well. So you can find out what they were classically called. And they're all, English puns, so I kind of like them. I've just been
Yeah,
letting
that's cute.
Mystery name all of them. There is one enemy I just found in one of the later areas that's the description when I found it in the book is like, it looks like a nut from a tree, but then it explodes. And I don't care what that one is called officially, I am going to rename it Buster Nut.
That's amazing. As you should.
Thank you.
Did you know David Attenborough turned 100 yesterday?
Really?
Yesterday at time of recording. Yeah, I found out about this, of all things, because my sibling told me that Lego used to have its like ages that it's recommended for is like age 4 to 99, and they've changed it to 100 plus in honor of David Attenborough turning 100 because they're putting out like nature related Lego set, like something related to him.
Well, happy birthday, David. Oh, Sir David, I should say.
With the statement that Sir David, you can play with Legos still, which I'm sure he was worried about.
Yeah, the cutoff is like, damn, I can't play with Legos anymore.
Damn it.
I'm finally a grown up.
But no, the thing that keeps surprising me when I see the name of Yoshi and the Mysterious Book is, and I don't know if the listeners know because I haven't, I don't know how much I've talked about it actually on this, but I'm a big fan of the Atelier games. And one of the Atelier games, Atelier Sophie,
Oh, yeah.
the subtitle is The Alchemist of the Mysterious Book. So I keep imagining Yoshi wearing like a little witch hat doing alchemy.
Yeah, I can't wait for that crossover content that they announce a few months into the roadmap.
We should get it. We really should.
Yeah. The one thing I did notice today while I was playing it actually is you get to pick between the different colors of Yoshi when you're going into each of the pages of the book. So you can sort of switch it up. And I just realized that depending on which Yoshi you are when you make a discovery, the Yoshi represented in the book, kind of covering each exploration, will change to the color of the Yoshi you were when you made that discovery.
Oh, that's cute.
So, like, my first few pages are green Yoshi, then there's purple Yoshi, and now I switched to blue. So, like, as you're sort of going through the pages, different Yoshis are discovering these things and getting the credit for it. So, yeah, it's a cute little game. I'm interested to see if the amount of content it's broadcast to me is everything it's got to offer, in which case it's kind of a smaller, tighter experience overall. I feel like there's going to be more afterwards, but I don't know what form that takes yet. If you want to find out what my final thoughts were, I'll put a link to the review on Stevivor down in the links as usual. Can't wait for both of us to discover how I felt about that game at the end of the day.
Yes, I'm excited to see your final conclusions.
Thank you. Me too. But yeah, other than playing a lot of Yoshi, my main other exploration, besides Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar, which I'm still dipping into.
Right.
It's nice to do like a day at a time, just to kind of
Yeah.
step away from whatever more serious gaming I'm doing.
I'm still plugging away at my Story of Seasons game. My child is now a rebellious teenager who keeps getting mad at her other parent.
Love that.
I haven't got much updates there, but, I'm trying to convince her to take over the farm, but I think she wants to go to university, and I can't really be mad about that.
Yeah. One thing I really like in Grand Bazaar, just to throw it out there, is you find these little forest sprites, and each of them represent different like materials you can collect. There's like the forageables one, and the mushrooms one, and bees and honey one, and you can find them in the world each day and like give them items for their category to sort of level them up, and eventually they upgrade the quality of those items. So everything you find starts off at like 0.5 stars, and every 4 level ups they sort of increase the quality by half a star.
That's awesome.
But the great thing is the forageables one, which is pretty much everything you're going to find early on,
Yep.
like rocks and dirt and tree branches.
Weeds.
They also have like items that give like a bonus to XP, and for the forageables one, it's broken rocks and really, really basic stuff that you can just have huge stacks of. So I've just been slamming piles and piles of gravel into this little forest sprite's mouth. It's like everyone else is like level 1, level 4 on their little charts, and he's at level 25 or something.
Amazing.
Because it's so easy to upgrade, and then they're worth more, so you sell them for more when you make stuff out of them, and it's just a really quick speed around.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, I've only just had the first day where you can sort of tell someone you like them, and I didn't have enough ingredients to make a honey cake to prove my feelings to
your honey. Aw.
I was just gonna pick whichever the hottest bachelor was. Yeah. I haven't decided yet, so I will circle back next honey day, I guess.
Let us know.
Besides Story of Seasons and the other stuff we already talked about, I've been playing Trails in the Sky, the third, chapter 5, all of it.
On one hand, it's cool to be doing full chapters more, and like especially since we're doing the 2-week cycle now, but on the other hand, like sometimes I come back and I'm like, oh my god, like so many things happened.
Just imagine how quick this game would be if you didn't bother with any of the memory doors. Like, it would be a flash in the pan, because it is just mostly like dungeon crawls with, progression cutscenes as you work through them. So if you weren't sitting down to watch 2 moon doors in one session, you would just be in and out of that thing like a flash.
You really would.
But also, if you're that kind of gamer who doesn't care about story, why are you playing Trails in the Sky the Third to begin with?
I am ready.
We open on this chapter as per usual. We open with a flashback of some sort of trauma of Kevin's past, because he's got lots. And I like how this one starts with, like, you hear the sound of a door opening and closing, like someone walking into a room, but you don't get an image for, a little bit. I like when it does that.
Yeah, they're doing a lot more sort of cinematic directing with their cutscenes, which is really impressive. Like, even just having the same still art with, like, minor variations, like, replacing expressions or whatever, it adds so much.
It really does.
On top of just having color in the images is kind of cool. It makes them feel more vibrant, obviously.
It does.
Which, based on revelations later in this chapter, might be intentional to kind of distinguish these memories from others, being that they are being recalled in Phantasma.
Oh, maybe. Interesting. I could see that. So we start with a woman's voice, who we learn quickly is Ein Selnet, again, the great, mysterious Sister Cornelia, Kevin's teacher.
Yep.
Being like, look at me, Kevin. We see that Kevin is sitting on, like, a wood bench somewhere, looking depressed as fuck. And apparently has not eaten or drank anything in days.
He's also specifically in the Squire uniform, so we know this is kind of further along in the timeline again for him. I don't know. He'd be like mid to late teens at this age, I'd imagine.
I guess so, yeah. I would assume so. He's probably like Estelle and Joshua's age here.
That would make sense, yeah. He's just been on a hunger and water strike, refusing to imbibe anything.
Yeah, we learn pretty quickly that something happened to our dear Rufina. An unfortunate accident.
Yes.
And Kevin's just shut down.
He's basically decided that without Rufina around, he just wants to die. So he's kind of given up on life and is just stagnating until he passes away.
Because we don't know how she died, like what exactly happened, we don't know how much of it is the fact that she's gone and how much of it is in whatever, like, the circumstances of that. Whether he's traumatized by something that happened or whether he's just, like, not just, because obviously losing a loved one isn't just, but, like, whether it's grief or grief and trauma. We don't really know for sure. But we know it's bad because he starts asking Ein Selnet to kill him.
Yes. And she's pretty much just like, nah, I'm not doing that. It's like, kill me, I have no purpose. Without Rufina around, what's the point?
And it's also so disturbing because he's like, I couldn't ask for someone better than you. I probably won't even feel it because of how good you are. You should kill me. I'd be glad if you were the one to... And, like, he's really thought through why he wants Ein specifically to kill him. And she's clearly, like, a little disturbed. Do you really think I was going to go for that? Like, what the fuck, Kevin?
She says something about it like being a misuse of her abilities or something like that as well. It's like, you really think I'd waste my talents on a pitiful request like that?
And she's also like, sorry, dude, you swore your body and soul to serving the goddess and the service of the church. You don't get to give that up.
Yeah. By
asking for death. Obviously, if you die in the line of service, presumably Rufina's not in trouble for breaking her vow because she died.
Okay, well, you don't get to die, but guess what? You do get a promotion, because effective immediately, you are now the 5th Dominion.
Yeah.
As approved by His Holiness the Pope.
which I believe is a translation error.
Oh, really?
Very mild spoilers in terms of a pronoun. Like, we don't know, I'm not giving more away. Then in later games, we know that it's a woman to be the Pope. And from what I understand, I don't believe it's a different Pope. Like, I believe it's the same Pope from back then. So I think there are a couple of things, of places where, because pronouns work differently in Japanese, where a pronoun was made as male in the first time it showed up in Sky, and then later when we learned more about a character, like when it was like the name of a professor or a researcher or a pope or whatever, mentioned, there wouldn't be a pronoun used in Japanese, or an indication of gender used in Japanese, but there would be in English.
Yeah, I thought it was meant to be a reference to, it's been a long time, but at the same time, yeah, in the references we've had to Her Holiness the Pope in later games, it's with the implication that she's been the Pope for a fair while. So younger Kevin probably wouldn't have been a Pope ago from the sounds of it.
An interesting thing, though, is that about the promotion, I didn't want to tell you this news, but now seeing what a bad state you're in, I can't make it any worse. So it's like this promotion, it doesn't seem like it's happy news. Like, she doesn't think he's going to be happy about it. He's not happy. Like, it's bad news. Like, sorry to break it to you, kid, but now you have to be Dominion.
And layered on top of also checking in about the very recent death of Rufina.
Yeah.
The bad news on top of worse, unfortunately. But whether you like it or not, you are the 5th Dom as of now.
Yeah, you gotta pick a Dom name.
Yeah, you've got to pick your Dom name. I was actually surprised by this. I kind of thought that the titles were assigned as part of the rank, whether that was just like something passed down by Their Holiness the Pope or whatever. I didn't realize they get to like brainstorm their own name.
I think that's so funny.
Which does cast a different light. Because we've met a few Dominions over the course of this entire series, because they identify here that there are 12 of them. It's a static number. There's never any more. Sometimes they're less, but it's just because they haven't switched on as a Dominion yet. They still exist in the world. I assume that means as soon as a Dominion dies, a baby is born in the same instance, or the power passes to someone else, like a Green Lantern ring.
I love the idea. That's why his hair is green. It's a manifestation of his Green Lantern.
The ring sought him out and said, Kevin Graham, you have the power of great trauma. Would you like to be a holy...
space cop.
A holy space cop, yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, we get confirmation that Carnelia is Ein's actual title. It's her...
Cool title alert.
It's Carnelia. It is the title she chose for herself, which is wild.
Obviously she didn't trademark her name. Bad move. But also, for a secret society of knights who aren't meant to be public knowledge, isn't having your code name public knowledge in a widely beloved New York Times bestseller a problem?
I think that they did that on purpose to like be like, well, obviously the church wouldn't let this be published if there was any truth to it.
Oh, it's the misdirect of the truth, yeah.
I thought that was the implication. Kevin is mad about his promotion again. How can I do this now that Rufina's gone? And I was like, dude, there's so much more work now on the table now that she's gone. You have to do this, because she might not have been a Dominion, but she was like at that level. Like, she was operating on a Dominion's level. Now we have a big gap, so you got to get to work. And Kevin just kind of has a breakdown.
Yeah, he kind of calls out the irony. Is like, oh, I only joined the Grelsritter and tried to become a knight in order to protect Rufina, and now I'm finally being promoted into the position by stepping over her dead body. Pretty grim.
He's like laughing in that like unhinged, like mental breakdown way. There's a very funny bit where Ina's like, you are allowed to refuse the promotion. No one's ever done it. There would be no precedent. And you still have to serve the church, as we told you earlier, but you technically could deny it. And Kevin is kind of like, no. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it right away. Give me all the work. Give me all the worst jobs. Give me all the dirtiest tasks. All the shit that makes you want to kill yourself. I want to do it.
And decides on his title in the moment, call me the Heretic Hunter, because I'm grimdark.
So I think this is a cool title alert for Kevin. Have we heard him called this?
We've heard him call it, but this is like the attachment of the name.
So this is the cool title alert for Kevin.
Cool title assignment. Whatever.
And we get the title card.
We do. We get the title alert of the chapter, which is Chapter 5, Labyrinth of Shadows and Light. Pretty much lines with what our buddy Lord of Phantasma told us last episode, which is that it's going to be a black and white thing.
Another duality themed one. We've had the gold and silver paths. Now we have the light and dark labyrinths, or shadow labyrinth, whatever. Like,
I do also like that as we sort of move through this dungeon and see the shadow and the light bit. Did you notice that it was white and gold and black and blue? Like that fucking dress meme from years ago?
Oh my god, you're right.
So it's all the same color, actually.
It's just lighting.
Is the dungeon white and gold or black and blue? Doesn't matter, we don't have to worry about that yet, because we are back in the garden with unconscious Kevin being looked after by Reese.
And with Estelle. Bestelle is back.
Bestelle is back. She's been updated, she's gotten the download like everyone else. And the crew very helpfully kind of outlines there's a lot of stuff we need to figure out, but it falls into three major questions that we need to answer. Question one, who are the Lord of Phantasma and Schwarzritter?
Mm-hmm.
Question two, what is the cube and the ghost lady and how are they connected?
I specifically wrote this as what's the deal with Cubina?
And question three, what is Phantasma and how did it come to be?
Yeah, Olivia is really useful, really helpful, and like,
Summarizing?
yeah, that works. There's a word I'm blanking on. It's gonna bother me.
So after kind of outlining these three questions, Estelle's next question is, oh yeah, shit, what's going on with Kevin? Is he dead?
And which category does that fall into?
Which question of that is like, what's the deal with Kevin being unconscious? Nobody really knows what the deal is.
We need to talk about Kevin.
We do need to talk about Kevin some more because the only one who seems to know anything about it possibly is, surprise, surprise, CSI Josh, who has an idea. He says, I think he and I got tattooed at the same place, kind of. Because his stigma, which was a lowercase s stigma in second chapter, his like tattoo on his arm, was an artificial one applied by Weissman, which was like a limiter to control him, basically. Whereas Kevin's is the natural form of the uppercase S stigma, proper noun, which is what Weissman's plan was based on. Which also brought to mind that Weissman loves to copy other people's ideas.
He really does.
He copied the stigmas. He copied the evil eye from that devil.
Yeah.
Does he have any original ideas? I don't think so.
I mean, as Joshua is going to get into pretty soon, he really copied a lot from the church during his time as a clergyman. I mean, even how the Septarian exists, he didn't invent the Septarian. He just, like, stole it back into this world, like, broke it out of prison. He jailbroke it. Like, it wasn't an original idea exactly. And given that we know that his childhood was defined by a mysterious, all-powerful object appearing from the sky with no explanation, arguably, he was just recreating his own childhood, like, geopolitical trauma. So, I don't know. He's unoriginal.
Yeah, everything is just built on other people's plans. He uses stuff that already exists that other people have geniusly created. Even the airship was, like, stolen from someone else's plans.
Yeah, I think so.
What a loser. I'm glad he's dead.
Yeah.
As they're sort of discussing that, it seems like Josh's stigma was a copied version of Kevin's, which is just like the more powerful natural version. Reese wanders in and says, yep, that's correct. And Estelle asks about the Dominion stuff. Like, what's the Dominion stuff? Because we've confirmed that he is the fifth Dominion to the party. Reese goes on to explain it's the 12 church knights, never more, sometimes less. The stigma is basically a thing that unlocks within them, makes their body sort of supernaturally strong.
And it's a seal carved into your soul, which I just point this out because Joshua referred to his as being carved into like the depths of his mind or his psyche, and this is tied into the soul. Now, obviously, we don't actually know what a soul is or isn't in like the cosmology of but like it's presumably even deeper carved into like your being.
Yeah, because Joshua's was one carved by force, whereas theirs is carved by destiny, the goddess. Like nature.
It manifests on its own. There's not like a person implementing it.
Yeah, it enhances their body, gives them increased physical prowess, and grants them access to greater powers of thaumaturgy, the special church magic.
Yes.
It's pretty much a blanket explanation to say anytime we want to say a Dominion did something cool, it's because thaumaturgy. And that's fine with me.
They say they can use high-level thaumaturgy, but other knights can use some thaumaturgy, but just the super high-level stuff is only Dominions. I think what they're meaning is that, like, a stigma, even if it never manifests, like, because it might not have manifested by now, and presumably maybe could go without manifesting forever, but it is, like, in you. There's always a person that stigma is attached to.
Yeah, funnily enough, it reminds me of, I just the other day watched the Mortal Kombat movie again.
Oh, okay.
Now that the sequel's coming out. And the mechanic in that is very similar. Like, if you're going to be in the Mortal Kombat tournament, you have, like, the little dragon as, like, a birthmark somewhere on your body. And if you kill the person who has it, it transfers to your body. So it's basically the same system.
Oh, interesting. I don't know anything about Mortal Kombat.
I don't think that's how it works in the actual games. It's more just the movie.
Interesting. We also get confirmation that Weissman was stealing artifacts from the church. There was a period where he was working for Ouroboros while still, like, working for the church or, like, pretending to. Like, he was a double agent for a while.
And he basically cleaned out their library of all the books on stigmas so that he could go
Yeah.
invent his own later.
He wanted to create a superhuman.
He wanted to build super soldiers that would obey him, and Josh was kind of his prototype, I guess.
So Josh is Captain America.
He is.
And Olivia's like, okay, all of that tracks, except how did using that power cause Kevin to collapse? Is that like, does that just happen anytime anyone uses it? That doesn't seem like a very useful power. And Reese is like, well, the thing is Kevin never uses his, or almost never uses it. So it's like his muscles basically aren't prepared for the impact of it.
In a description I'm sure he would love, he has an underdeveloped soul. He can't flex it strong enough to support the stigma, because he just hasn't done enough reps.
Soul reps.
He decided he was the heretic hunter, and he decided they would only ever use his stigma against heretics when they are being hunted.
To kill them.
To execute them in a way that they cannot come back from in any shape or form with his superpowers. But yeah, so it means that anytime he does use the power, he basically has several days of recovery because he's just not built for it.
We also get something of a definition for heretic here. Like, not very clear, but basically that it's somebody whose sins are too great for them to ever go back to being the path of rich. So it's not just somebody who's done a bit of sinning. You have to have, like, crossed so many lines that, like, you're irredeemable.
There's nothing to do but kind of let him rest up and recover. So Reese nominates herself to be the leader, even though everyone's like, do you want to stay and take care of him? She says, no, I have Cube, and Cube means leadership. So I'm going to lead the thing. I trust everyone else to help take care of him while we're gone, because we can only take 4 people out at a time.
Yep.
And Estelle asks to be her second. She's like, hey, can I come along with you? I just want to, like, catch myself up and kind of get an experience of what's going on out there, because I just arrived.
Yeah.
Very cutely, I love that she turns around and says, hey, Joshua, I'm sorry that I decided that without telling you. And he's just like, hell yeah, babe, go for it. I love you and support you. He's such a wife guy.
He is. I love that they're doing the parallel, too. The last chapter was Kevin and Joshua was the team, and now we've got the girls, like Reese, new male protag and old male protag, now new female protag and old female protag, like it's the kind of tag team, which is cute.
Yeah. I'm really happy that I called this was going to be the setup next episode. Mainly it was just I wanted it, but it is nice to be proven right.
You manifested it like a stigma. So now, dear listeners, we're going to have a weird machete order of a chapter because we have 3 doors to get through, and doing them when they become available would be a really weirdly paced chapter.
Yes.
So we're going to spread them out, starting right now with Star Door 6, which we could have done last chapter and did not because we had already done 2 moon doors. This is the one that requires 20 recipes.
So I accomplished this at the end of last episode by just smashing through every piece of food I had in my inventory. And it's a surprising Star Door. I wasn't expecting to go this far afield in the characters.
No.
But when we step through, having proven our worth by eating a lot, we get to hang out with Dean, Raish, and Rocco, the 3 lieutenants of the gang from Ruan.
Ruan, the Wavens. Ruan the Ravens. I keep calling them the Wavens. Ruan the Wavens.
Wuhan, the Wavens in Wuhan, having a great time. So we start the Star Door by them recalling how Estelle kind of said, hey, you guys should become bracers.
In chapter 8 of SC.
Yes, they were a great help in kind of keeping the city orderly while everything was in chaos. They made themselves sort of community protectors. And she said, hey, unironically, good job. I think you have what it takes to be bracers. Why don't you give it a shot?
Yeah. And so they decided yes.
They signed on, partly for the altruism and supporting the community and how it made them feel good, but also a little bit because they might get trained by Kana, and she's very pretty.
Honestly, same.
Yeah, it's not a bad choice. I mean, I get to help people and maybe hang out with a 10. Why not?
If Karna would be like my personal trainer, I'd join the gym. I don't know. They specifically call out the receptionist Jean as being their cock block here and setting them up with Agate instead. Their longtime sworn enemy and former Raven group leader, Agate Krosner. I love the phrasing of that.
I do appreciate it. It's not so much a cock block from Jean as a clam protect.
Yes.
He's there in defense of Kana from these 3 weirdos.
Well, yes.
Just kind of not focusing on their lessons because they're too busy drooling.
Alas. Probably for the best. So they did 3 months of terrible training, hell, and then they're in their final test. We go to that weird cabin in Nebel Valley where you get a stew that will either heal all your CP or kill you.
The stew of heaven and hell or something?
I think it's called Abaddon Stew, but then in the remake it was Heaven and Hell.
Oh, Abaddon Stew, that's right.
Yeah.
They hang out at the cabin, and, the three boys, they haven't changed that much. They're excited about what they're doing, but they're also still kind of little shits.
Mm-hmm.
So they're very surprised when Agate just says, hey, unironically, I'm proud of you. You've come really far. I wasn't sure whether you'd succeed when you decided to become braces, but you've really impressed me.
Yeah.
They're all like stunned and amazed, and one of them says, I'm going to be sick. I guess a big shake up from when he used to be the leader of the Wavens.
Yeah. But this is going to be their junior bracer exam. So this is their version of us going in the sewers in the prologue of FC.
They get a lot harder than Joshua and Estelle did. They kind of got Nepo babied into the braces, huh?
I don't know if it's that or if it's that if you were a delinquent gang member, you have a harder entry exam. Like it could also be Agate being a dick specifically.
It could be. It does feel like trying to be a transfer student into the Genis Academy. Like somehow...
Exactly. Much harder.
If you're joining the system from the outside, it's harder for you, which I guess that's a pretty good commentary on how society works.
Thanks, Trails. But yeah, I think we did get a little Nepo babied in. I feel like that was maybe Sharon Nepo babying us in more than Cassius Nepo babying us in. These guys are not getting Nepo babied.
It is just nice to see this kind of emotional availability from Agate.
Yeah.
Sharing his feelings of pride. Tita has been a good influence on him.
Yeah.
She's just taught him to communicate a bit better. So he very readily offers this compliment. Then when they freak out, he's like, hey, I'm not actually an asshole. I can be nice. Just take the compliment, dudes.
I also like how this ties to, just between how all these doors tie together. When we were in part 2 of the Orbital Gear Moon Door, when we were playing as Agate, when he first arrived in Zeiss, and we got another guy from the guild, Agate was like, yeah, I have a few guys in mind as a potential new junior bracer. And now we get to see what he had in mind was these guys.
Can I say, though, when they first had the line about, you should become a bracer before we had the reveal of who we're talking about, I did for a second think that it was going to be Luke and Pat taking super junior bracer training, just like running around the city.
That would be so cute.
But honestly, I had a great time, so it doesn't matter that much. But I was just like, oh, no, it's not that cute. It's still cute, though.
Mm-hmm.
So their final exam is they have to spelunk the cave in Nebel Valley and reach the end and sort of deal with any monsters along the way.
To be clear, because there are multiple hidden caves in Nebel Valley, this is not the one where the Kappas were hiding out in Game 1.
Yeah.
This is where Ragnar the Dragon was hiding out in Game 2.
You're right. I did initially think that they were going to be running through the Capua building because the entrance that he takes them to very much looks like that secret entrance that you open up halfway through the Capua dungeon. So I did get twisted. I thought they were going to take an easier exam, and then it's like, no, you're going to the Dragon Cave.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, shit, Agate.
It's okay, Ragnar's not there anymore. Yeah, and then he says, so you have to get to the end. There's no time limit, but I'm going to be in a bad mood the longer you make me wait, so, keep that in mind going forward.
He sets them off on their way, and I love that Rocco immediately, says, it's obvious that Agate's going to be waiting for us at the end to have a fight with us, and that's going to be the end of our test.
Yeah. I like how the implication is that every training exercise ends with Agate beating them up in a fight to test their skills.
Every day we've trained with Agate has ended with him beating the shit out of us, so I feel like that's probably going to happen here again.
I was just going to say, Welmer is our rest stop, which he's only right at the beginning, so you can't, rest up and heal in the middle of the cave.
Yeah.
But when you talk to Welmer, you can either, heal and rest normally, or you can eat his Abaddon potluck and either die or get your CPL restored.
Oh,
it just says share food, but then it's ate Abaddon potluck or Abaddon stew or whatever it's called. And then every single time, I'm trying to remember who it was because I remember it was whoever's HP bar is in the middle on the bottom of the screen was always dead and the other two were always fully healed.
Oh, I think Raish is the one in the middle, I think.
Poor race.
I'd never actually spoke to Wemler, but I did appreciate that in a world full of hyper specificity in weapons where everyone has a unique and special weapon that only they can equip, all three of these guys are just using stun batons.
Yep.
They all just have the same weapon, they have the same abilities.
Yeah.
There's nothing to tell them apart other than their hair color.
Which is interesting because they had different abilities when we fought them. Because they each had, only one of them had the revive and the others it was a buff.
And it seems like since then they've kind of all pooled their abilities so they can all use each other's skills. Which is lovely.
They're a hive mind now.
Every single bracer you meet has a completely different weapon to the others. Even if they have sword, it's either slab sword or ninja sword or two sword.
Or whatever, yeah.
They're never the same. Until we get to a point in this series where there's so many characters that the only thing you can do is have them use the same weapon because otherwise the games would never get finished. I was just like, you know what? Good on you. 3 of the same guy. That's
Yeah.
really going to stump people in the world of trails.
Yeah. No way all 3 of you are using a stun baton.
Well, it seems to work out okay because as far as traveling through this dungeon, it's not that hard. You get periodic fights, similar to what we got with the exam with Joshua and Estelle, where they kind of highlight the different types of enemies and how to attack them. Not that it helps that much because these guys don't have augments and can't use magic.
And they have no S-crafts either or anything like that.
Yeah.
The only one that's annoying really is the cryon bits that happen on the outside because they can't be debuffed.
Yeah.
Which is like the one thing that these guys have going for them really in their... I mean, they have a revive craft, which objectively is amazing compared to what anyone else has. But the other thing they have is this move to lower defense by like 100%. So that's crazy good. But then when you meet someone who can't be debuffed, you're like, well, I just gotta hit you. Because their strength buff only lasts 1 turn.
Yeah, I found that really difficult. They don't have an S craft, but they do have a 200 CP craft, which is just like, it's their only offensive craft. Like the rest of them are just like stat adjusters.
It's a death blow, but then if you resist debuffs, you resist death blow, so it's not going to be useful there either. It's an interesting kit.
It is. It's very different to anyone else we've hung out with. So yeah, the dungeon, like we've been through this dungeon before.
Yeah.
Did you have any chest messages that stood out for you? Because we do get a handful of chests for these guys that are just kind of healing items to stock them up for the final battle.
There was someone scrawled a limerick on the inside of the chest. Oh, okay. Wow, that's not going to pass a T rating.
I appreciated that one, yeah. We do start to get a few references. I think we've had them before, but about chests in other countries being strong silent types.
Yes.
Oh, and there was one talking about Estelle. Do you know the name of Estelle Bright? The thief without equal. In her lifetime, she stole many treasures and left behind over 1,000 chests.
I love it. And then there was one that was, the lock on the front of the chest is just painted on, which did make me giggle.
I mean, yeah, it's a very classic thing. All of the treasure chests have, like, a lock set up, and we've never once encountered a locked one to date so far, I think.
Don't think we ever have, no.
Maybe later games.
As we move through, the flow of the story is fairly predictable in that conflict builds within the group as they go through. Rocco is like, you guys are holding me back, and the other guys are like, Rocco, fine. If you're cool, go do it by yourself. And so they split ways.
Yeah.
Meet up with a 2-party team and just kind of dodge all the enemies because there's only 2 of you to fight.
Yeah, they sort of force you to backtrack a little bit in the area to leave Rocco behind as he sort of charges forward on his own. Raish and Dean, God, it blanked for a second there, basically say, well, fuck this, we're just not going to do the exam anyway.
Yeah.
This sucks, I'm out.
We're just doing this because Rocco was making us anyway.
Yeah. Then they get to one of those like annoying squid guys that we haven't actually fought in the dungeon to date, but were from this area originally. And it's like a pseudo boss fight, so they're like, damn, that was hard. Oh shit, Rocco's probably in trouble. We should go back for him.
Yeah.
Which is lovely. They're developing a conscience.
And then they go back and Rocco is being cornered by one of those master cryon guys. He is a block of ice.
He's frozen solid, which is ironic because the cryon bits also annoyed me so much. And Rocco was the one that I'd given the prevent freeze item to out of the 3 of them. So I'm like, damn, dude, did you drop your Mirage Charm or whatever it is? Which one is it? I can't remember.
You're lighter, I think.
The lighter, that makes sense.
Race tries to save him from this ice block by throwing an item at him. It's not a curia or any other healing item. It's some sort of offensive grenade to blow up the ice.
He throws a frag grenade, yeah. It works, but it's not really the recommended status effect item. But yeah, the 3 of them take down the Master Cryon together, and afterwards, Rocco admits he's being toxic.
The other guys admit that they didn't just do it because they were forced, that they also want to become bracers, and Rocco's like, I'm just so desperate to catch up to Agate that I get mad at everyone for the fact that I'm not as good as him.
Yeah, I'm admitting now, I can't do this by myself.
And then we discover that they're polyamorous.
Yes, it's lovely.
Because Rocco and Dean make up, and Reyes is like, anyone would look at you 2 now and think smooching and wedding bells are in your future. And they joke a bit more about smooching, and then Race goes, wait, am I the one you want to smooch? So I think this confirms that they're polyamorous. This is a throuple.
I love that for them because, yes, this was a very, like, lovely, open, honest, emotional conversation between 3 formerly stunted men. And I was like, oh, do we have to get into the gay jokes? But if it's not a joke, then it's fine. If it's just gay.
Yeah, and that's how we're going to interpret it.
I mean, the game knows. The game knows they're a throuple.
They don't say, like, ew, never, or anything like that. Rocco's just like, oh, shut up. Like, it's not a denial, I'm just saying.
It turns out there's 3 non-toxic dudes hiding under those toxic personas that they used to employ. So we make our way to the Dragon's Cave at the end of the dungeon, which I found it weird again here that you have the entrance to the final fight and then just past it is the final cave that has some items in it. It's such a weird layout for a dungeon.
It's just a way to trick you up to not get all the chests.
Yeah, I can't remember. Did they have some sort of blockade to the final doorway that we had to sort of circle back for in the original dungeon?
I don't remember. I don't think so, though.
I would have just charged into the first door if it hadn't been for my guide reminding me to go collect all the items and check all the chest messages.
Yeah.
So we enter the Dragon's Cave, finally. As we enter, we hear applause from behind us, which is Agate, who's been tailing the 3 the entire time, just sort of keeping an eye on them.
Yep.
So he knew, even though he told them this was going to be a tough fight, and it was going to be more powerful enemies than they'd faced at any point before, he was there waiting to, swoop in if they needed him. He wasn't just leaving them to die on their own failures.
He sure let Rocco think he was gonna die, though.
Yeah, I wonder how close he was to jumping in before the 2 showed back up.
Yeah.
Because, he highlights, I've seen everything, your fight prowess, the breakup, the reformation, and your emotional honesty. And now I've mostly made up my mind, but I need one more point of data to decide exactly what's going to happen to you. And that's you have to try and beat me in a fight.
You have to prove it to my heavy blade, because of course he has to say it.
Do the branding. You got to hit it. They're going to have to start choosing their own bracer titles eventually, so he wants to get the engine running.
Mm-hmm.
So you fight Agate. It's pretty tough. He does hit hard.
Yeah.
You have a few healing items. This was the first and only fight that I used their 200 CP crafts for, and they do hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
It was something like 5 times or more the damage of their regular attacks.
Mm-hmm.
So if you'd banked up 200 CP on everyone by not wasting your time with any crafts during this entire dungeon, like I did, then it was really easy to take out 2/3 of Agate's health bar pretty early on before he could really start beating the shit out of these 3 guys.
Yeah, the issue is halfway through he uses an S-craft, and he will S-craft again later if you get him. He did twice 2 S-crafts for me, and those KO. Now, he went for the same guy both times, so I had just gotten raised back at his feet, and he had 28 HP, and Agate was like, no! And immediately S broke, so that was good. We get him down on his knees, and they're like, oh my god, we did it! And he's like, cool, and stands up.
I love, when you finish this battle, just how much XP it gives you. They start off the dungeon at level 45. I made it a point of pride that I wanted to get them at least to level 50 by the time we reached the end of the dungeon. So they were at 51 for me, and then when they finished beating Agate, they leveled up from 51 to 58.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was a good chunk of XP because he is their toughest opponent to date, and assumably this is the first time they've ever come out on top in one of these fights against him.
Yeah.
So they really felt it. They jumped up to a level that makes them competent, maybe, to be bracers.
Well, they're certainly higher level than we were when we became junior bracers.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
all I'll say.
They are starting later in life, so they should.
Yes.
I mean, Estelle is level 115 or something, and she's only 17 years old, so come on, guys.
Yes. She got all 117 of those levels in the last year of her life or something, though.
So after the fight, we get our assessments from Agate.
Who was not actually beaten, really. He just kind of stands up again. He's like, yeah, you got the better of me for a moment. No, well, that counts.
You reached an HP threshold that I'd previously decided on, and so you win.
Mm.
So he gives them each their individual assessments. So for Dean, as a plus, your judgment is nothing to sniff at. On the other hand, you have a tendency to play it safe, even when you don't have to.
Yeah.
Raish, forte is your intuition, but what you're bad at is that you don't really critically think.
Yeah.
You act on instinct. Yeah, your intuition's good, your instincts are bad. And Rocco, you have unrelenting drive, you're always pushing to get the job done, but you don't make rational decisions.
But you're toxic.
Yes, you're too fueled by emotion. Put those 2 qualities together and you're basically an accident waiting to happen.
So Agate's like, none of you can pass this exam. However, if I treat you all as one person, then you add up to a competent human being.
But if you keep you all together, I will give you a passing grade on the condition that you only accept jobs as a throuple.
Yes.
Because even Agate sees it. They
Yes.
are built to work as a unit, never apart, never only 2 of them, only 3.
They all share a brain cell.
if we could figure out like a Dragon Ball Z style fusion dance the three of you could do to combine into one guy with multicolored hair, you'd be perfect. But
Exactly.
for now, you're each 1/3 of a junior bracer. Congratulations.
And they're like, okay, yeah, that works for us, because really we weren't gonna do things on our own anyway. None of us understand how to operate as an independent unit. And I guess like the idea is that because being a junior bracer is also a training process, by the time you are looking at becoming a senior bracer, hopefully you will all have learned to be more than 1/3 of a person.
Yeah.
You won't get away with this as senior bracers. You have to individually pass. But for now, you can be too codependent to live.
Yeah. And very sweetly, he says, to celebrate, I'm going to take you shopping and I'm going to buy you all new stun rods.
I love that he points out, like, all three of you are still using the same weapon, right? Huh, weird. Anyway, I guess I'll buy you all 3 new ones.
Yeah, probably another tip he got from Shara. Like, it's good to buy your proteges like a gift when they graduate. Just like Estelle got her new fit when she became a senior bracer.
And Joshua got his new fit when he came back from playing hooky of being a senior bracer. So arguably it's his promotion gift, even though we don't like that jacket.
Yeah, no. Once again, the three of them react saying, that's gross, Agate. Why are you being nice? I'm going to be sick. And he says, shut up. Come on. Congratulations. I love you. You suck.
And then they ruin it by being like, wow, he's gotten soft. I bet Tita, that little girl's the influence. And I gets mad that they bring that up. And so he's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to run behind you and swing my sword at you if you stop walking fast enough the whole way back to the entrance.
Yeah. I'm going to swing my sword like this. And if you get in the way, it's your own fault.
Exactly.
So they trundle off to run back to Ruan. And the Stardor training Agate style is completed.
It's over.
Also, I laughed when we finally got to the end, and we had such a weird mix of rewards. You get the super good gladiator headband.
Yes.
And then 100 mirror.
100 Mira. It was so funny. But yeah, what did you think of this Stardor?
I really liked it. These guys, never expected them to get more characterization than they had in first chapter.
Yeah.
But they really got a redemption arc in the second, and then this is like a nice kind of button on their story for now, I suppose. I thought it was some nice little character moments. The dungeon was inoffensive, except for those Cryon bits.
Yes.
And we got to see a bit more of Agate, too, seeing that his, like, slightly more well-rounded personality isn't just limited to talking to Tita, he is letting it slip into his everyday life. So he's just a chiller person overall.
Yeah, even to people who he is particularly aggro towards most of the time. Yeah, so how are you going to rate it?
I think I'm going to give this a 4. It's quite good.
All right. I quite liked it. I was surprised because in my memory, I remembered being bored during this one and being like, oh, it's not ending, whatever. But I think it really is a reflection of like going into it with a different mentality. Whereas like probably the last time I played it, I really just wanted to continue the plot. And I was really annoyed that this was taking so long to get me back to like whatever was going on with Kevin. And
Yeah.
knowing that it was going to be a long Stardor, it is probably the longest Stardor just because there's a whole dungeon crawling segment in it. Knowing that it was going to be long and just chilling and having fun, listening to a podcast for the dungeony bits, like I actually had a pretty nice time. I was like surprised. I didn't remember enjoying it this much. I'm going to give it a 4 as well, actually.
Nice.
It could have been shorter because there's very little story really happening in it, but also it would have been worse if there wasn't dungeon crawling in the middle of it. Like, because all of the story just in one segment would have actually been...
It'd be too long to just be scenes, yeah.
Yeah, but it was actually, it's cute.
Yeah, it reminds me of when I was reviewing Yakuza Kiwami 3 not that long ago.
Right.
There was one section where it was basically just a bunch of story elaboration scenes, but in between, it'd have like a batch of scenes, and then I'd be back in this little office where it was all taking place, and I just have the option to run around the room. Couldn't leave it, couldn't interact with anything, but I just have to circle back to the guy, and he's like, okay, you ready to keep talking? And that's exactly what this is doing. It's letting us stretch our legs a little bit in between cutscenes.
Yeah.
To not get too antsy. It's ADHD-friendly exposition.
It is. I do think third is going to be such a different, interesting experience when it's fully voice acted.
Oh, God. Can you imagine how long some of these doors are going to take when they're voice acted?
They're going to take a long time, but also in good and bad ways. Like, they're going to take longer, but also... there is something to be said for putting it on auto advance, putting it on the TV, and like eating something and watching a Stardor. That could actually be like a really nice experience.
Yeah, you know what, you're right. I think having it be slightly more passive in that way, even not having to press a button or read.
Exactly.
It is just nice to play along a little bit more. That's an overall 4 out of 5 for Star Door 6, training agate style.
Yeah. And then we technically could, and both of us did, go do the next moon door that we had available at this point, but we're not going to cover that yet because we're going to pace.
Yes.
I think we're going to run around the Hermit's Garden now. Catch up.
I had a couple of people I checked in with briefly. I didn't
Yes.
do as comprehensive a job this week as I did for the last chapter.
I went a little ham on this one.
I did a little bit of this before I went and did any of the doors. So first thing I did was I checked on Kevin just to see how he's doing. Josh and Chloe are on it. They're kind of managing him, along with Josette, who's helping out as well. They're just taking care of him. He's like, hey, he's fine. We're just keeping an eye on him. It's good.
There's a lot of commentary that Josette is, like, surprisingly good at taking care of sick people.
Yeah.
Like, apparently she's, like, quite good at playing nurse.
Oh, I ran up to check on Shara.
Yes.
With Estelle in the party as one of your mandatories. She says, hey, just so you know, Joshua was worried sick this whole time, just like I was. That we didn't know where you were, but I'm really glad you're back. And then the next thing she says, okay, so, Dish, how are things going with you and Joshua? Like, how's the relationship progressing? What's the latest?
Have you done it yet?
Kind of that, yeah.
Because I had Joshua in my party for this scene too, and they both are reacting as though Shara's asking, like, did you guys do the sex yet?
I played it out both ways. I only had Estelle the first time. She just gets embarrassed. But then if Joshua comes along, he's like, yeah, I kind of figured you were going to ask this.
At some point, yeah.
And look, we're enjoying each other. And I don't need to give you any details. But if you also have Chloe in the party as well,
Yeah.
when Shara asks, like, what have you two been up to? Have you done it yet? Chloe just off to the side goes, I've kind of been curious myself, so...
And if you have Josette in the party,
Oh!
she goes, well, I don't want to know, so save it for when I'm not here. It's so good.
Oh, I didn't even think of bringing Josette. Oh, that's amazing.
It was an accident. I just had her in because I was trying to, like, make sure that I was just swapping out people who I knew. Like, I did, like, 3 versions of my party for each location just to make sure that I wasn't missing anyone who might be sitting there.
Did you try Olivier in the party for this one?
No. Wait, no. Did he have a line?
I didn't even think to try him, but I feel like if anyone else is going to gossip about them, it would have been him.
I didn't think to try it. I was like, I gotta get Chloe, I got Gisette. Like, once I noticed it, but I figured I had all of Joshua's girls. I didn't think of that.
Well, write in and let us know if you are playing along and you gave it a try. Did Olivier have anything scathing to say about our young lovebirds? I did actually check in with Olivier as well at this point. He mentioned that he failed a sort of deep dive researching the Dominions. He just couldn't get enough information about them. But from what he knows and how powerful they are, anyone who'd willingly make an enemy of them, like the Lord of Phantasma and Schwarzritter, are probably a big concern. They know everything about everyone, so they know what the Dominions are, and to willingly sign up to antagonize them, you got to be confident.
One cute note is when I talked to Tita.
Mm-hmm.
She's really worried about Kevin and she's quite stressed, but Reese also apologizes to her specifically for worrying Tita. Like, the implication of the scene, right, is that Tita was really worried about Reese. She didn't really understand what was going on. She was really worried, and Reese feels bad for worrying this kid so much. And it's like a sweet touch because it's totally unnecessary.
Yeah, kind of Reese dialing it back and saying, I was being kind of dickish just to everyone, and I see it affected you the most because Tita is a person who wears her heart on both sleeves and her face and her entire body.
Yes.
I did check in with Josette, and there are a couple of dialogue variants for her as well while she's keeping an eye on Kevin.
Yeah.
If it's just Estelle, she sort of remarks on how capable Josette is and how she's actually being helpful, and it's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
But if you have Joshua and Chloe along as well, Chloe says, you know what, I think she'd make a really good housewife if she ever wanted to be one. And Joshua sort of confirms, like, yeah, for the Capuas, she kind of takes care of everything. She's really, like, hands-on and gets things done. And Estelle still just goes, ugh.
We talked to Joshua and he's not in the party. He talks a lot about how, for Kevin's sake, like, the mental strain of what he's going through is going to be just as much, if not more, of a physical burden on him than the physical strain, in a way that, like, the implication is that, like, Joshua's been there, Joshua knows what he's talking about. Again, more of the, like, Joshua and Kevin, like, there's a parallel. I think that's everything for now, yeah.
That was about everyone that had anything of note to say in my whip round. I believe you can also unlock another set of books at this point on the bookshelf. Is it the...
Gambler Jack shows up, yeah.
Gambler Jack, yeah.
Oh, right. When I had Joshua in the party, talking to Shara, we covered on this a bit, but I did just want to point out that, so I was like, what? He was really worried about me? Josh was like, well, anyone would be worried if their girlfriend was captured. And instead of Estelle being like, girlfriend, she goes, I was captured? Well, I didn't actually think of it that way. Like, there's something very funny about how I love her.
Oh. Yeah, I didn't get that line with him because I didn't bring him along for the first conversation. So that's very cute that he was like,
Okay.
I think he still knows that calling her his girlfriend kind of freaks her out a little bit, and he's taking great delight in making her uncomfortable.
It's cute.
Because he's always enjoyed, like, getting under her skin, and this is just kind of a new layer of it.
It's wild the fact that I look at these two and I'm like, oh, they're cute, and like I'm not thinking about the whole adopted siblings thing. It's wild how well they've written it that it becomes an afterthought.
Yeah, with that I kind of wrapped up my initial run through of the garden and headed out to make my way to the 5th plane from Lelocal Canyon.
Let's do this thing.
Yeah, Estelle is freaked out by seeing this place, the local canyon. She's like, I trained here. I had Annalise along too, and so both of them are like, it's so weird seeing the place that we trained together, like being suspended in the stars. And she's like, yeah, if it looked like this, I wouldn't have trained here. And I'm like, wouldn't it make you more interested in training somewhere that looks like cool and weird?
Yeah, it looks sick as hell.
It's beautiful.
We also have Reese kind of like stopping before we go through the portal to say, hey, Estelle, for real though, why did you say you wanted to come along? Estelle's like, well, you know, I do have a reason, but it's not anything big and grand.
Yeah.
I just wanted to return the favor.
It's Kevin.
Kevin helped me a lot when I was having my Mentee B last game, and so I wanted to return the favor by supporting you. It's like, but Kevin and I, why would you help me to return the favor to Kevin? He's like, oh, well, he thinks of you as family, right? You guys are family? And Reese is obviously taken aback because Estelle is just this perfect reader of people's situations. Maybe because she has an experience being in such a complicated sibling/boyfriend relationship herself.
Yeah. But also, Reese is kind of convinced, partially, that Kevin doesn't see her like that anymore. That, like, she's still attached, but they haven't seen each other in 5 years. I never knew that Estelle had such a good memory for quoting people. But she whips out, I think it's Cassius's lines about the connections between people deepen over time to become bonds, and once such bonds have been formed, they can never be broken. However far apart those people may be, no matter where life may take them, those bonds will always exist in some way. She just quotes it from memory. Which, I mean, is an important quote. It's a big one from SC, but...
I love that she highlights it. Not my words, by the way. They're just something some old guy I know said to me a while back.
Yeah.
So just disrespecting her dad on top of everything else.
Always. She can't not call him some old guy.
Yeah, it's very funny when Reese is like, oh, maybe we were family once upon a time, but we haven't seen each other for 5 years. He doesn't think about me that way anymore. And Estelle's just like, haha, bullshit. Like, that's not true. That's not how it works, buddy.
You were family for most of your conscious lives. Like, come on, girl.
Yeah, you don't have to re-up it to make it still count.
But I know that she's hurt by the time of no contact.
Yeah. After this thorough reading from Estelle, Reese says, hey, Estelle, I have another question for you. Has anyone ever told you you're soft as fuck? Like, too soft for your own good? And for me, I had Tita and Chloe in the party at this point.
I had Tita and Annalise.
So they both just kind of quietly giggle to themselves, and Estelle goes, hey, come on.
Yeah, and Reese is like, all 3 of your reactions just answer that for me. That's great.
Yeah. But with that out of the way, we are ready to teleport through to the 5th plane and arrive at the Luminous Labyrinth, which is white on gold, or is it blue on black? Immediately after you enter, you find Star Door 7 off to the side, which is just pass a trial. You just have to do a fight with anyone you want.
Yep.
We will circle back to that a little bit later for pacing reasons. I did like that in this first area, there's a bunch of grimoires who can transform into the doppels if you give them the chance.
Yeah, there's like 4 different versions they can do, which is fun.
Yeah.
They can do Agate,
Like
Tita, Estelle.
Who's the last one?
Jin, I think.
Ah. It would be fun if it was based on who you have in the party, but I understand
be
they
fun.
wouldn't have made a doppel version of everybody.
Before we get in there, quickly. Trails, I love you so much. I don't understand why you hate me and throw spiders at me all the fucking time.
Oh, yeah.
This is the beginning. Like, there have been little spider monsters before and I didn't like them, but this is the beginning chapter of Trails is going to have a lot of really horrible spider monsters, and I hate them for it. As much as I love them, I hate them for it. And it just keeps getting worse. And they introduce some now, and I hate them. There's gonna be worse ones later in this chapter. I hate them. I need a second just for the listener to hear my tale of woe and play your violins for me. I'm so arachnophobic, and these spiders just keep getting worse. Thank you. Matt's playing his air violin for me on camera.
They're especially nasty at the end of the chapter.
Oh, so bad.
I'm not a fan of spiders either. I have enough separation in a game that they don't usually affect me. Except in something like Grounded, where it's a wolf spider 6 times your size. That sucks.
Ugh.
That game also has arachnophobia mode that has varying levels of control, so you can reduce them in detail all the way down to just being a blob
Yes.
with no features or sound effects, most importantly.
Anyway,
But after pushing past the spiders,
dream spiders. Right, all of the devils on this plane are based on dreams and nightmares. We learn because all the planes have a different like type of devil.
yeah, because this dungeon is also full of incubuses who are like sort of sexy men with one big horrible monster arm. And
Yeah.
it specifically says in the description that they are demons who plague the dreams of women,
Yeah,
which it's kind of interesting that is reflecting who our party leaders are.
yeah, actually.
Even though that's something they couldn't possibly have planned for. How could this have happened? But once we push past the spiders, we do find another sealing stone, which everyone's kind of shocked by. They're like, I thought we had everybody.
Yeah. Did we want to cover any chests in this area first? Or did you have any chest messages?
Oh, yes, chests. Did I take any in this section?
I did get one because it took me a second that I wanted to shout out.
Oh, yep.
Someone used to keep his magazine stash in here.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one.
Because I come from girly world where I think fashion magazine. It really took me a second. I had left the chest. I was partway down the aisle and I went, oh, okay.
Nice. Yeah, not a lot of the chest messages stuck out in the section. There was one that won't work for an audio medium,
Yeah.
but there is a chest where the entire message is, I can't remember what the term is for it.
Homonyms.
Homonyms, thank you. It's a bunch of homonym replacement words, so it's the wrong there. It's allowed, as in speaking aloud instead of it's allowed to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a challenge sentence to try and read it and get the meaning while every single word is the wrong word.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. It's obvious that
It's
this is
cute.
the point where they really started having fun with the chest messages. Like, fucking who cares? There's also one, I
Yeah.
think, in one of the later layers where it is literally just a full page of someone mashing their keyboard.
Keyboard smashing? Yeah. That was good.
I'm surprised we haven't had one of those before, but yeah. Sometimes when I am playing a long dungeon, I will enjoy a breath of organic fresh air medication that opens my mind to the joys of grinding for long periods of time. And so reading this sentence in that state, I was, hang on, wait, no, come on, check it. No? Okay, no, it does actually say that. I'm not just gazooked. So thank you for keeping me on my toes, Trails in the Sky, the third chest message writers.
Appreciate your service. But yeah, in my roundup of what I thought we had everybody, because we have different party members, I don't know if you had different people, like, because my party members suggest a few people it might be. I don't know if yours did.
I did not grab any screens of that.
Tita says maybe it's Grandpa.
Yes, I did get the professor suggested because I had Tita with me at the time.
And then Annalise says maybe it's Kurt. And Estelle seems to like the idea that it's Kurt. She's like, Kurt totally makes sense. It totally could be. I don't see a reason why not. Which is cute.
Yeah, I can't remember because I had Chloe still at this point. I can't recall if she suggested someone or just reacted shockedly. I feel like Joshua would have predicted if you had him around, but
Probably.
we make our way back to the Hermit's Garden to find out for ourselves because I didn't know. This one hadn't been spoiled by me accidentally scrolling too far down my quartz guide.
Oh, it hadn't. Oh, that's exciting.
So I was legitimately racking my brains like, who is this?
This is the best one to not get spoiled, too.
It could maybe be a bracer because we've got bracers that we've used in combat before.
Mm-hmm.
But no, when the seal opens and a new path opens in the Luminous Labyrinth for us to progress, it's fucking Alan Richard.
Alan Richard!
He just drops into the scene in his military uniform.
It's so cool. Like, so unexpected.
He's reacting as though a flashbang has just gone off and then freaks out before immediately going, Joshua? Estelle?
Your Highness?
What's happening?
He says, Your Highness to Chloe and immediately, like, kneels, like, goes prostrate. I don't know how much of that is his military training and how much of that is like, oh shit, I've committed treason to your family and I am only a free man by the grace of you and your grandmother. Oh god. But yeah, Alan Richard, takes the award for the most unexpected party member.
Yeah. Also, Alan, maybe one of the most powerful party members we could possibly have. He is
So
so
powerful.
OP. All of his crafts have barely any delay, so he can just keep acting over and over again because he's fast boy.
Yeah.
And he's got some good offensive attacks because he has kind of the full set he did the last time we saw him.
Yeah, he's a strong boy.
He's great. Juice him up with the right augment setup, and he's basically unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
He does kind of mention, I wasn't wearing this when I left, because he's now running R&A research.
So Richard and something, maybe associates. Oh no, Amalthea. Has to be Amalthea.
Yes, because Amalthea is her surname.
Yeah, and we later find out that she's working for his thing. He does specify multiple times in this chapter. He's like, I was wearing a shirt and slacks. Not this. I was wearing a shirt and slacks.
I was in business casual, in my slacks. Turns out he's the only one whose clothing has changed on arrival. No one else brought it up previously, or on being asked now realizes that their clothes have changed. Which could have been Annalise of all people, honestly. If she'd been like, oh, I was in my pajamas when I left.
An interesting one that this didn't happen with is Olivier, because, like, given that your clothes can change to something for whatever reason, the fact that he was dressed in Prince Olivert's stuff when he was Ceiling Stoned didn't mean that he had to be in Prince Olivert regalia when he showed up here.
Yeah. Especially because even within the last few chapters, he's brought up as like, yeah, I do miss my old blue and white look. It really feels like me.
Yeah.
And yet he's still dressed as the prince instead.
Yes. Interesting.
But Olivier also has like a theory on why Alan's clothes changed as well.
Yes.
It just says, perhaps the Lord of Phantasma decided the Colonel just wasn't sexy enough in anything else and prepared that strapping uniform for him after bringing him here. Which all the girls agree with. Just quietly, like every girl...
They all have a military uniform kink.
Yeah, Josette, Chloe, Estelle, they all kind of blush, and Alan's just like, okay, thank you, young women.
There's one exception, because Tita gets one of the best text boxes in the entire series. She gets
oh yeah,
question mark, question mark, question mark, and then like a smaller than sign and two like dashes to be an arrow, and then in parentheses, has no idea what's going on. It's like the best, one of the best reaction images they've given us, honestly.
Yeah, paired really well with like her completely neutral profile art where she has no expression whatsoever because she just does not have a clue.
We also get a lot of, well, first thing I want to point out actually is just that when Reese explains that she's from the Grosritter, we get a all caps, the Grosritter from Richard, which it's very funny that he's so gagged about this. But then we get a lot of, his self-flagellation that he's like, why am I being part of your hero group? Which is logical in that, like, all of you have worked together in some capacity before.
Including against me, yeah.
Like, all of you have been in a party together before, except Reese. But he's like, but I'm a traitor, I'm a bad guy. And he's like, all of you make up a perfect party. And Gisette's like, well, I don't want to be in a party with Estelle. We're not perfect together. I hate her. She's going to rub off her stupid on me. Gisette's like, I used to be a bandit. And even though you were using me, I still did it. And all of us like, well, I threatened LeBurle with a bunch of tanks. And I was like, okay, but that was a ploy. That's not the same as my coup, buddy. Like, there's a little chat. But eventually everyone comes to the thing like, well, we trust you now. And we want your help.
And cutely, Alan specifically is like, hey, is this okay with you, Annalise?
Yeah.
And Estelle's like, wait, why the fuck are you asking Annalise? It's like, oh...
Do you know each other?
We hung out a while back, basically.
She calls him baller, which I like that that's part of Annalise's lexicon.
Yeah. You're a baller fighter and we need you. Come along. Just kind of offhandedly says to Estelle, oh yeah, like we hung out a little while ago. Which would be a fun nod if you hadn't already done that door. If you're like, what do you mean?
I wonder if it's not included or if it's like a tease, like you should go back and do Annalise's door if you skipped it. There's cool stuff. But then I did a tour of the Hermit's Garden. Yep. Jin is thinking that Cassius is going to be the next Ceiling Stone. Oh. I'm not sure they're going to let us be that OP, honey, but it's a beautiful thought. He and Estelle talk a bit about the fact that Killick has gone back to Calvard because Estelle had left Liberal by the time that happened. And Annalise and Agate are talking about Annalise's fight with Richard. Oh. Agate's like, I want to fight him too. I really want to try and fight him too. Come on. And everyone reminisces about all the times that they've had to fight him because they were fighting him and he's in the party and he's like, these aren't happy reminders. The funniest thing about doing this with him in your party is that everyone keeps calling him Colonel and he keeps being like, when will you remember that I'm not? Like, please stop calling me this. He's just like lamenting. The best thing I think though is that Tita is having a nap. Aww. She's at the table next to Olivier, and she is just slumped over, sleeping. And Reese points out that she was the first Ceiling Stone, that she's just been going ever since they got here, that this kid is exhausted. And everyone's like, we need to let her rest. Oliver is next to her, he makes some dumb joke about like, oh, I'm lulling her to sleep with my sweet lullabies, and I want to put the ladies in my life first, and everyone's kind of like, annoyed him or whatever, and he's like, but to be real, I'm feeling very paternal with her next to me right now.
Yeah.
This little sleeping child's making me feel surprisingly paternal. I'm not used to this.
We're getting a few of these little, like, slips of pretense from Olivier because I didn't bring it up earlier, but the first tour of the garden, I checked in with Olivier, and Estelle asked him, like, by the way, how's your plan going back in Arabonia? He's like, what plan? Is she's like, oh, how's it going with your plan? And he's like, what? What plan? She's like, oh, the one you were going to enact back in Arabonia as the prince. And it's clear he's obviously thinking, because Shara was sitting right next to him at the time, that it was his plan to continue making romantic gestures towards Shara. He's like, yeah, no, thank you for checking in, Estelle. It's really kind of you. She's like, yeah, just make sure you're giving it your all, or I will beat the hell out of you with my big stick.
I didn't get that.
And he just says, thank you, and I really appreciate your confidence in me to achieve this. And just smiles. And Estelle goes, oh, what? Wait, are you being sincere? What happened to all, like, your bluster and pretense? He's like, no, I just appreciate your support. Thanks.
Aw.
It's nice to see that there's, like, a much more grounded Olivier hiding under there sometimes.
I also got down where Kevin is. Did you talk to Gisette?
I didn't actually do a whip around at all at this point. I totally forgot.
Okay, so Gisette and Shara are currently on Kevin watching duty with Joshua behind Gisette looking at the books. Like, just so you can picture this. It's important, the positioning of this. And Gisette goes to Shara and says, don't you dare take one step closer to Joshua wearing that skimpy as hell outfit, Shara. And Shara's like, oh, just because you were blessed with bombastic boobs doesn't mean you gotta go showing them off 24/7.
Bombastic boobs. Wow.
Yeah. Any party composition that you have at this point, Josette is gonna get aggro about approaching Joshua unless you have Joshua in her party and then she gives you a totally normal report about how Kevin's doing. But unless Joshua's in your party, she will not tell you how Kevin's health is. She will tell you to stop getting close to Joshua.
Wow. Oh, that's so fun. Oh, Gisette, what a mess. Why? What are you doing? You're protecting someone else's boyfriend?
Yeah. From Shara, who constantly calls herself his older sister, who he calls his older sister. I mean, I guess sibling relationships are not as sacred in this world as...
Yeah.
But Shara clearly sees Joshua as a kid. Alan Richard is like, it's going to take me a while to figure out how to conquer this place. And we're like, conquer?
It's right on it, yeah.
But then Estella's impressed. She's like, wow, I thought you'd still be freaked out about this place, but you're already ahead of the game. That's our colonel. And Richard's like, I'm not a colonel. I'm having a conversation. I was like, I'm going to tell you about my job. Talks about the fact that Captain Amalthea is now working there. And she's like, anyway, good work, Colonel. And he's like, did this whole conversation just fly over your head, Estelle?
Oh, poor Colonel.
Julia mentions that Cassius apparently hasn't given up on trying to get Alan Richard back into the army because he wants to delegate all of his work to Richard because Richard's competent.
Yep, that sounds right.
So yeah, and that was all I had to report.
Nice.
Stay alert. This ain't over.
Before we dive further into the dungeon, it's time to take a break by doing a moon door. It's time for Moon Door 4, which is the one that requires both the brightest gal we got and also her wife guy.
Oh, I love this moon door. So we start with the first week written just on the screen, and then we hear Joshua playing the harmonica badly, which is already a sign that something's up because, that doesn't happen. Like, he's off key, he's playing the Whereabouts of Light, but it's wrong, and a voice in green. Well, hello there. There's no need to be so afraid. I am but a humble magician. I will heal your broken heart for you, provided, of course, I am compensated. We all know what that is.
Yes.
And then we flash to little Joshua just after the prologue of FC, pretty much, like, still in Cassius's bed with bandages on, injured, unwell, Estelle standing like guard over him. So clearly he's having flashbacks of some kind while injured and recovering.
Yeah, which I was a little surprised by when they said the first week and then did the magician thing. I thought we were going to do his first week at the society. I
totally can see that.
Or actually, no, and even before that, before we got the magician line, when it was just bad harmonica playing in the first week, I thought this was Joshua and Estelle's first week on their abroad trip, and maybe Estelle was practicing how to play on the harmonica.
Oh, that's cute. Well, we do learn in this chapter that at least at one point she has stolen his harmonica and tried to play it herself. But apparently not in this instance. And basically, we see Estelle is playing nurse to Joshua, who is running a fever, his temperature's up, she's trying to help him. Joshua is sort of talking to Karen, like, clearly a little delirious.
Yeah.
Then we get the flashback that he basically tells us in his narration that those words that we know Weissman said about being a magician were playing over and over again in his head in a loop, but he couldn't remember who it was who had said them.
All of his weird memory modification stuff kind of wreaking havoc on his psyche. The next sort of scene is his fever's broken and he's sitting outside under a tree dissociating.
He is so cute in his little boy clothes. Like, we've never seen Joshua in, like, little boy clothes before, really. Like, we've seen Estelle in her little girl outfit. Yeah, he's wearing, like, this, like, green, like, jacket shirt thing over, like, a navy blue thing and, like, shorts. Like, he looks kind of like a bug catcher kid in a Pokemon game.
He sure does.
It's just really cute. And he's got his little Joshua face.
Estelle runs up and wants to, like, play now that he's healed. And he just sort of rebuffs because he's Grimdark Josh Baby Edition.
She kind of seems to be rational. She's like, well, obviously your foot still hurts, so you can't run around and play, but you don't have to be in bed anymore, and I'm super bored when I'm sick, so you must be bored, and you can't even run around now, so you're bored. So I'm gonna make you not bored anymore. And Joshua does not like this. He's also saying, it's gonna get dangerous here soon. You should keep your distance from me. Thanks for taking care of me, but you should keep away. Estelle is Estelling all over the place.
Oblivious. Yeah.
And as she runs off, being like, I'm going to find something to cheer you up, Joshua is thinking to himself, like, there's no signs that someone is coming after me, but I bet in a couple of days someone's going to come to find this place and come back for me. And it's clear that he doesn't remember the society in any kind of specifics, but he remembers that he was with dangerous people and they could hurt the people around him. Like, it's interesting the kind of figuring out how much he remembered during this time.
Yeah.
And he was aware of the kind of information he was missing. Like, he knows that he's lost memories, and he knows that it's dangerous people involved in those memories, but he doesn't know the specifics.
And this very grim internal monologue is interrupted by Estelle returning with bugs for him. Saying, hey, I brought you a bug to cheer you up.
Roly-polies.
Yeah, roly-polies. Is that what you call them over there?
I know the term, but that's not what I called them as a kid. I just don't remember if I had a name for them as a kid.
Because I've lived in a few different states through my childhood in Australia, and even state to state they had different names for them. So I've seen these referred to as slaters.
Okay.
And also butcher's boys, and I don't know why.
I call them pillbugs.
Pillbugs is another one, yeah.
But, like, and I only knew them as pillbugs as a kid, really. But, like, I found out as a kid from watching TV or talking to another kid or reading a book or something, I learned the term roly-poly for them, but I don't remember ever using it.
Roly-poly at least makes sense. I've never understood where butcher's boy comes from. I think that's a very Australian one, yeah. Needless to say, pillbugs or roly-polies are not the thing that Joshua is desiring right now, and he says, no, I don't want that, leave me alone.
Which Estelle takes to mean, no, that's not a good enough bug. I need a better one.
So she zips off again while he continues to brood, comes back with a dragonfly and a monitor lizard.
Yes.
Neither of which seem to really impressive, though he is kind of like, how the fuck does she keep doing this?
Yeah. And he's like, listen, Estelle, I don't want any kind of bug or lizard. I don't want anything like that. And Estelle's like, just, bulldozing over him as she does. And she's like, sit down, Joshua. I have a question to ask. To which Joshua's like, I am already sitting. She's like, very seriously, what bugs do you like? Ones with lots of legs, ones with long feelers, ones like all sorts of things. And she cannot wrap her mind around the idea that he doesn't want any bugs. She's like, oh, he's playing hard to get. And she just runs off. And we get a little bug catching montage of her trying to catch what are actual monsters that we fought in the area around Roland.
Yeah.
With her net. This is dangerous, Estelle. These things can hurt you.
Yeah, because eventually she's swept back to the house by a wave of evil butterflies that are chasing her.
Yeah.
So she just kind of runs to Joshua, says, come on, grabs him, and they both jump down into the water.
Yeah.
Well, she jumps down, he is taken.
She also shouts Geronimo as she does it. And they, I think, have to stay under the water until the bugs are gone. So she's just like, hopefully he can hold his breath. She thinks it's very fun. She's like, haha, like they're gonna splash you now. It's all nice in the water, whatever. He's not impressed at all. And she decides to fish. He's still unimpressed. She's just narrating what she's doing. She's like, this fish is for you and this. It's so interesting because we know Estelle well enough to know that she's not just oblivious to the fact that Joshua's miserable and doesn't want anything. We know Estelle well enough to know that, like, she's deliberately Estelling at Joshua right now, right?
Yeah.
She's like, no, I'm going to cheer him up, and this is how I know to do it. So I'm narrating what I'm doing, and I'm including him in what I'm doing, even though he is telling me not to.
He also gets like a bit of a clue into her situation too, because as she's narrating her fishing, she's like, oh, this one's tiny. Ugh, Dad can have that one. He's such a lazy bones that never does anything. So Joshua clues into the fact that she doesn't really understand what her dad does. He assumes that it's because Cassius is hiding it from her.
Yes.
Even though we know that she's just kind of oblivious and doesn't really care at this point.
It's kind of a mix of both. He's never volunteered it, and she's never suspected there's anything more than him just being a normal dad. Then we get a great line from Joshua, which I think, is this on the second week or still on the first week, where he looks around and he goes, was it always so bright? So week 2, he's still under a tree.
So yeah, we cut to the second week. Still under the same tree, he's just kind of doing the same thing.
Estelle's still fishing.
Alyssa and Teoh show up to try and hang out, or to see what's going on with Estelle, because it seems like they haven't seen her for a while because she's been in like nurse mode with Joshua. So Alyssa from Bar Abend and Teoh from Purzel Farm, not the other Teoh.
Yeah.
They come in looking for Estelle. They're like screaming at the front door for her, which I guess is just how kids act around here. Joshua's off to the side under his tree and just goes, she's not here, go away. Which does not work because these girls are immediately like, a boy? And swarm him for answers.
This is a boy, the way everyone says in Roland when they meet a boy child. Like, no one in Roland has ever seen a boy child before, I think, based on Estelle's reaction to Joshua and then these two's reaction to Joshua. He's the first boy child they've ever encountered here.
Yeah.
And Estelle runs up. A little while later, she's caught a bug, it seems, and the girls are like, tell me about this boy, he won't talk to us. And Joshua is sitting there being like, doing CSI Joshua on these girls, being like, they don't seem to have any training, they don't seem to be foreign agents, I suppose they're not lying about being Estelle's friends. Meanwhile, Estelle is like, oh, yeah, Daddy gave me him as a present.
Yeah.
This is my new little brother. Joshua did not know this.
Yeah.
He has not been told this story. Josh was like, no, I'm not your little brother, and marches off. And so I was like, listen, young man, listen to what your older sister tells you.
And then beats the shit out of him to establish older sisterhood.
Yeah. Yeah, she picks him up, so you can see that, like, his sprite is, like, a little above, like, she's holding him up by his collar. And just, like, chases him, beats him up, is like, from today on, I'm your big sister forever. And the two girls are like, oh, they get along so well. We then cut to that night where it seems that Estelle and Joshua have been sharing a room, which Estelle has been having Joshua sleep in the bed and she's been falling asleep on the chair. And Joshua's like, she can't stop. Can she not do this every night? He gets up, he puts her in the bed.
Very sweet, yeah.
And then he leaves the house. And we get another, like, sort of parallel to the prologue of FC, where Cassius is out drinking on the porch and has a conversation with Joshua.
Yes.
Joshua is trying to have a serious conversation about the danger that their family is in for taking him in, and, like, she doesn't know the danger or whatever. And meanwhile, Cassius is like, you know, the room next to Estelle's could probably be turned into a bedroom.
It's a very bright family tradition to just ignore the person you're talking to and steamroll the conversation, apparently.
Yep. Joshua's not having it, and this time Cassius, unlike Estelle, does turn on to Joshua's conversation, but kind of gives him a bit of a what for that kind of throws him for a loop.
Yeah.
Cassius is like, listen, I know that to you, it looks like Estelle is, like, Sybil-minded and clueless and just a meddler and whatever, but you're actually the one who's clueless, Joshua, not her. Because Estelle knows what she wants, and is just gonna, like, brute force life into being what she wants.
Yeah, I love this comparison. It's like, Estelle knows what she wants and how to get it, and she will go and get it. You don't even know what you want, so what the fuck do you think you have to say about anything, Joshua Bright? Or Joshua, adopted childson?
Yeah.
Cassius rephrases this whole situation for Joshua and is like, given that that's the case, she knows what she wants and how to get it, and you don't have a clue. Who's really winning right now, buddy?
Yeah.
If you want to change that, it's all up to you.
Then he also was like, I'm not going to tell you to leave, and I'm not going to tell you to stay either. You go where you want to go and do what you want to do. And I'm a little bit like, I get it, Cassius. He is 11.
Yeah.
There is, to a certain point, like, you do have to tell an 11-year-old, no, you can't just go be by yourself. I get the point what he's getting at, but there's part of me that's like, you probably shouldn't let him leave, though. He's 11.
Probably not, yeah. I think Cassius is just very confident in his adopting abilities.
Yes.
That is like, I can get this one done before your leg finishes healing.
Cassius is like if Bruce Wayne had the, like, emotional intelligence to actually, like, properly dad all the random kids Batman, all the random Batman kids he picks up.
For sure.
I really thought we were going to see, like, the conversation that gets alluded to where Joshua tells Cassius that, like, as soon as it becomes dangerous to Estelle or to the Bright family for him to stay, he's going to leave.
Yeah.
Several weeks later.
Yes, our next little vignette, a couple weeks later, Joshua's physically healed, not necessarily emotionally, and is being dragged around by Estelle now that she can actively play with her toy.
Yes.
So she drags him all the way to Purzel Farm, where she's volunteered them to help out because Mama Purzel has just given birth to the twins at this point in time. So they need extra hands for Harvest Day. And she calls it's part of his rear hillbilly-fication.
Like, I cannot tell you how much I laughed out loud. Like, my sibling was nearby and came in and was like, are you okay?
It's a good one, yeah.
It's so good. It's rear hillbilly.
Yes, Joshua's like, it's rehabilitation, you tiny idiot, but still gets dragged over to help out. Very sweetly, the Purzel parents, when the kids are all lining up to help, they notice Joshua's got bandages on his limbs still.
Yep.
And like, oh, are you hurt? And he's like, no, my injuries aren't enough to stop me from doing work. And they're like, no.
No.
We're not going to invite an injured child to do manual labor for us.
Yeah.
We'll find you a different job. The other kids all get assigned to sort of spread out and start harvesting crops. And Joshua gets stuck on baby duty.
He seems pretty happy with this, actually.
He seems fine, yeah. He gets these two kids and he just very quietly takes them on, like the assassin monitoring the babies.
It's very cute, him with the two little baby sprites, like, in one arm when he's, like, they're half his size, like, they're the size of his entire leg, and he's carrying them both.
It's very sweet. He's such a caretaker for someone who's so determined to be a loner for so long.
He wants to be an edgelord, but he's not. But I love him with the babies. And then as he's sitting there with the babies under a tree, because he loves to be under a tree, he goes back into his internal monologue that it's been a few weeks and no one seems to be coming after him and he doesn't understand. Like, he's like, surely they figured out where I am. Do they just not want me back? They stole my memories and cast me aside.
Yeah, he also mentions that he feels like he's lost something. He just doesn't know what it is, whether it's his memories or something else.
Yeah.
So basically, he's just been living for weeks in a state of constant fear and, like, absence. No wonder he's wound so tight.
And also, it's just because the big loss that we know he had, right, is what happened to Hamel and his sister and all of that. And I feel like the implication of this is that he still feels the trauma and grief and loss of that.
Yeah.
Not as acutely as he did when Weissman first got him, but, like, he does not remember the source of all that grief. As well as, I mean, Luve, his kind of older brother, like, he doesn't remember these people, but he still feels this loss. Like, that's gotta be traumatic for this kid.
Just a heavy sense to be hanging over you at all times.
Yep.
He's sort of spiraling on that when he's finally interrupted by Estelle, who's come to show him her most phallic vegetables.
Yeah. She's got a large carrot.
Yeah, look how big and thick and veiny this carrot is, Joshua. And also this eggplant. It's so
shiny.
Wide and shiny, yeah.
But what Joshua notices is not any of these penises. He notices that she scraped her knee and is bleeding, and he lectures her about how she's not taking care of herself, she's not careful, and that means she picks a burden for everyone else to take care of her instead. And he puts down the two babies very gently, and then starts, like, pulls out disinfectant that he apparently carries everywhere.
Yeah.
And starts, like, patching her up. And she's like, oh, it hurts. Because apparently she's never had a wound disinfected before at the age of 11 and doesn't know that it's going to sting.
Mm-hmm. And I love that, like, while he's patching her up, he finds another wound to patch up at the same time. He's just like, oh, she's got another scrape. God damn it.
She starts to try to talk to him or ask him something. And he's like, oh, no, there's more scrapes. I got to do that. And then as he's finishing up, the babies start crying again. And Estelle's like, oh, God, oh, no, I have to do something about the babies. Oh, God, what do we do? And Joshua was like, no, you don't have to do anything. Taking care of them is my job.
Yeah.
And he picks them up, and he starts bouncing up and down with them.
Instantly soothes them.
It's so good. It's so cute. I love this, especially knowing, like, one of the first things we learn about the Purcell family is that the twins love Joshua. He's, like, their favorite person in the world.
Yes, Will and Cher are the twins.
Yeah.
I noted down here. He just instantly soothes these babies. And he's like, go back and do your job, Estelle. If you're just standing around here, nothing's going to get harvested. So she's like, oh, shit, yeah, correct.
She does ask if Joshua's sure he's not their mom. And then he pulls out his harmonica. And we get first time since coming to live with the Brights that he's played The Whereabouts of Light. And of course, he's got his amp attached to it, so the whole farm is, like, interrupted from what they're doing.
Yep.
They're all so impressed to listen to you, like, oh my god, a handsome boy playing the harmonica beautifully. Oh my god, this is so romantic. Whoa, Stella's mad that she's not informed of his harmonica abilities. She's like, I'm going to lecture him for this later.
Meanwhile, as soon as Joshua starts playing The Whereabouts of Light, he starts flashing back to meeting the magician again. We get the same lines of dialogue about how I can fix you, but I need to be compensated. This
time the text is in red, which is interesting because it was in green before. Like, it's almost like the memory is getting more and more aggressive or hostile in his head.
Yeah, and he's obviously been practicing because he's a lot better at playing the song now, but it seems like every time he plays this song, it triggers his trauma and he's just doing it to himself over and over and over again.
So I think the beginning of the Moon Door, the harmonica playing, wasn't that he was playing it then, it was that when Weissman walked in to tell him this, he was playing the harmonica brokenly. Because remember, what we were told was that after Hamel, he wouldn't talk, he wouldn't eat, he just played the harmonica blindly. So I think this is the first time he's played it since whenever.
But yeah, just the idea that the harmonica, which was his coping mechanism after the deaths, a way of sort of making himself feel safe, is now inextricably linked to the trauma of meeting Weissman the magician. So doing the self-soothing thing now triggers the unsoothing reaction. And he doesn't know what else to do, so he's just like looping on that, basically.
It's almost like he's trying to remember more by doing it.
Like digging deeper into the trauma.
But also, he is doing it, I think, in part to soothe the babies, too, for them, like, because he's looking after... It's like his version of singing a lullaby to the babies. It's a lot going on. But then after this flashback, he says he finally understands what he lost. All the things important to him, all its happy memories, everything that made him who he was the compensation that Weissman was talking about.
Yes.
And we get back to this mental framework he has that I'm a broken, twisted doll, because all the things that made me anything more than that are what Weissman took from me.
Yeah, which is why he still feels all that trauma, because he only took the positive emotions and just left everything else there. Rough. So he decides that basically he needs to run away from the things he cares about to protect them, because he knows destruction follows him. And that means running away from Estelle.
He just tries to do the end of FC here at age 11. Like, that was building for a long time, clearly.
Yeah, and kind of implicating, like, I need to run away from what I need to protect, and that means her. So he's admitting that he cares about Estelle.
He's scared of hurting her, of damaging her somehow. We get the next day, and Estelle is marching into Roland. I love the way this is framed. Like, it's like she's walking through the castle gates.
Yeah.
And she's, ranting about how none of the things she's caught, none of the fish, none of the bugs, are interesting. So she has to get the Bug of Legends. And she tells Stella, one of the housewives around Roland, about how she's going to make a sweet syrup to attract the Bug of Legends and then catch it.
Yeah.
Stella's like, well, but you're 11 and you're a girl. You should start to dress in cute clothes. And Stella's like, sorry, busy, I'm bye. Or, sorry, bye, I'm busy, and runs off. Which, I love she's always like that. And then she's like, okay, I have a mission to do. I have 3 options. I have a few things I need to get. Stuff from the farm. I need to get stuff from Melissa. She's like, okay, what am I going to do first? And you get 3 options.
Yeah.
Because the third is go look if there's new sneakers. Which, of course, I did.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
So you run to Renon Goods. I love that little baby Estelle just immediately runs behind the counter at the store to talk to Renon.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, you here to look at sneakers? She's like, yep. Well, too bad I haven't got any. Stella's also walked in here after trying to apply gender norms to Estelle out on the street. And it's like, what are you doing?
She's like, by the way, I just found some really cute girly clothes for you. And Estelle's like, sorry, I have to go do outdoor activities. I can't get I'm gonna get my clothes dirty. Can't wear that. Sorry, bye. And just runs off.
Just completely unaffected by this stuff that would dig deep into most people.
But this reminds her that she had a mission other than buying sneakers. So she has to go. I went to Alyssa first.
Yeah, same.
But don't think it really matters where you go. Alyssa is obsessed with how cool Joshua was playing the harmonica. Again, the sick harmonica beats will get you every time. Regular Casanova.
Yeah, Estelle mentions that Joshua hasn't spoken since he played the song,
Mm-hmm.
and also that she tried to steal his harmonica.
To play it, not to like keep it away from him, but she thinks that might be the reason that he's not talking. We get a hint of what we kind of suspected all along, that Estelle had more emotional intelligence than she was showing, or awareness of what's going on.
Yep.
And Alyssa's like, I think maybe something bad happened to Joshua, and doesn't want to talk about it, but like I think he's going through something. And Estelle's like, oh, I know. Obviously, I know. He's got something really serious that's really upsetting him. He's in a lot of pain mentally.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not able to make whatever is causing him pain better. I know that. What I can do is try to cheer him up.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to devote myself body and soul to making him smile, because I can't fix the deeper problems, but I can at least do that.
That's something I can do, yeah. It's very
Yeah.
sweet. Like, this part of the conversation is with Teoh over at the farm. Because
Oh, the next
Teoh
part.
just says, like, oh, hey, have you noticed that Joshua has trauma?
Oh no, I had that with Alyssa, was the one who I talked about having trauma. There's a different bit with Teoh that I had. Interesting. Teoh's like, you should try to tell him about your past, maybe talk to him about your mom, and maybe that'll get him to open up to you. And Estelle's like, okay, but I think we're going to be together all the time, so I think he's going to get it eventually that I'm here to listen to him. I don't need to try and, I don't need to make it quid pro quo. I just need to be there for him all the time. We're always going to be together now, because he's my brother now, and we're family. But then we also get a quick mention that she's going to Mistwald for the bug catching, which is a little much.
Yeah, that's the big swing for a tiny, tiny child.
Mm-hmm.
On the way there, she stops off at the clock tower to sort of quietly reflect for a bit, at which point Mayor Klaus notices her. He mentions that the clock tower was only finished being repaired about a month ago at this point, so through the combined community effort, they finally got it back as close to it could be to the original. They tried to reuse the same materials and everything to restore as much of it as possible. And Klaus sort of says that he loves the clock tower because it reminds him how everyone's sort of working towards the same goal. Like, everyone wants to support Roland, both within the town and beyond. And so it's just kind of a symbol of community.
Mm-hmm. And this really fuels Estelle up. She's like, I gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
You just wait, Joshua. Full speed ahead, and runs off. And Klaus is like, what just happened? Like, it's clear that Klaus thought that this was Estelle was struggling because thinking about her mom, and Klaus was like trying to frame it as like, think of it as a happy place instead of like a place where something sad happened. But we know that Estelle thinks that this is a place to draw strength, right? We learn that from later.
Yeah.
She walks into the Mistwald. She's like, I can smell the scent of my prey. She picks a tree. She slathers stuff on it. And she's like, today Joshua's going to love bugs. It's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
But then meanwhile, we see a big rhino walking up behind her.
Yeah, one of those Rhyhorn-looking enemies. Back at the house, Joshua is leaving his farewell note and leaving the house, planning to sort of go off on his own now that he's healed, when he hears a scream of an Estelle.
I love that he can tell that it's an Estelle, too. Like, little girls screaming kind of all sound like little girls screaming, and there's multiple little girls, but he knows it's in this town, but no, he knows it's Estelle. Yeah,
and he has a quick momentary debate with himself. He's like, she's not my problem anymore. She's probably fine. She's just playing or something, and she tripped. Oh, I can't leave it. I've got to go check.
And he whips out the knives.
Whips out his knives and runs off.
He apparently had on him this whole time, under his little boy bug catcher outfit. Estelle is surrounded by 4 of these Rhyhorn guys.
Yes.
You can't have my special syrup. It's all mine. Shoo. Doesn't work. And then she starts to look like she's actually scared. And of course, right then, the Black Fang shows up.
Slashes away at one of the enemies and then evil eyes all 4 of these Rhyhorns to scare them off all at once.
Which they didn't do when we evil-eyed them in FC.
Yeah, no.
I guess he was better at it back then.
Must have been.
The way they do it when he evil eyes is it gets the little cut-in of like an S-craft, which kind of implies that this used to be his S-craft, which I kind of like is the idea that like as he's grown and like his moves that used to be normal moves, former S-crafts just became normal parts of his arsenal. Like, that's kind of a cute idea.
Just a nice way to do power scaling, I guess.
Yeah.
But it works. He gets rid of him, and Estelle is very relieved because she has a big bug that she wants to show him that she caught.
And Joshua was yelling at her, right? He's like, how could you come to a place that's dangerous? What were you thinking? This is so stupid, whatever. And she's like, you were right at the right time, because I got a bug for you. Like, she's not bothered at all by him screaming at her. And you get the really cute art of her holding up this bug with, like, the biggest smile you've ever seen in the world.
And the bug is huge. It is like a stag beetle bigger than a head, yeah. He does momentarily react as like, that is a big bug, but quickly moves on.
Estelle is pairing her gift of a big bug with a moment of sincere, like, heart-to-heart, where she says the thing that we know, the conversation we know that they had, but now we get to see it. If something bad happened to you in the past, you don't want to talk about it, I'll just wait for you to be ready to talk about it with me. Until then, I'm still going to be by your side, waiting and trying to cheer you up. Which is the deal that we know they've made, that he doesn't have to tell her about his past until he's ready to.
And it clearly hits for him, but he recovers quickly and, knowing the role that he needs to play, says, that bug's not even that impressive.
Yeah.
And just triggers her to run off and try and find another one to kind of... He's kind of supporting her, supporting him.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what she's trying to do and he's just trying to, like, reinforce it. And then the funniest line after she runs off, he just quietly says to himself, "You amaze me more than any bug ever will."
You little sap.
And what a fun, like, out of context line to see as well. Can you imagine just getting that screenshot with no context for this series?
Yeah. It also kind of ties into this idea that he told her right at the end of FC that he was in love with her from, like, basically the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
From really early. Whatever an 11-year-old's version of being in love with someone is, this at this moment happened with him.
Yeah. But we fade to black and get our final vignette of this moon door, which is on the final day, which is the point at which I realized that this first week, second week descriptor is referring to Joshua's time living at the Bright House.
Yeah.
Because this final day scene is Estelle and Joshua leaving on their trip abroad to sort of go travel internationally as senior braces now.
Yes.
So it's him moving out of home, basically.
Yeah, going to college.
So we've seen the entire tenure of his time living at the Bright home. So in this scene, we have our adult Joshua and Estelle. They're about to board the airship to leave on their great pilgrimage.
We also have the entire population, of Roland is here.
Yeah.
And Estelle's like, wow, everyone really shut up. I guess I have to make a speech. Okay. We're all going to leave LeBril for a bit. We're going to do bracing things, but we're going to come back one day. She and Joshua kind of tag team their speech. And we're going to keep growing, and you're going to be so impressed by us when we get back. That kind of thing. Cassius is there. Cassius is like, I can't believe you told me this so last minute. Do you know how hard it was to get off work to come? They're like, we thought really hard about this and really talked about this before doing it. And Cassius is like, that's good enough for me.
We get some reactions from the different townsfolk. The girls, Elise and Teoh, are crying over Estelle leaving.
Well, Alyssa's crying, as we've learned that Alyssa is a crybaby,
Mm-hmm.
and Teoh is, like, the quiet, which I like that they, gave more characterization to, like, them as a friend group, as opposed to just, like, random NPCs who are technically Estelle's friends.
Yeah, and even Luke says goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
He makes a commitment that he's going to become a bracer, and Pat's like, me too. I'm also going to become a bracer. So they've promised to be bracers when Estelle gets back, pretty much.
And we get one more of those cryptic conversations between Joshua and Cassia that they love to have, which Estelle calls out.
Mm-hmm.
Which basically, Cassia's like, so Joshua, have you made up your mind? Joshua says, I have. I want to be Joshua Bright after all.
He says choosing the name Bright is the first sort of step on his path of independence now that he's free from all these influences that have affected so much of his life.
Yeah.
So obviously he was debating whether to go back to being Joshua Stray or Joshua Bright.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, this is my choice. I choose to be part of this family. I want to make both of you proud, both the Brights. So I'm Joshua Bright.
And it ties back to that conversation that they had back when he was 11 outside on the porch, where Cass is like, you need to decide who you want to be.
Yeah.
And now Joshua's saying, the person I want to be is Joshua Bright, the version of myself. I know who I want to be now. And Estelle is like, what is it with the men in our family always having cryptic conversations that nobody else can understand?
They do love it. But with that, the airship is ready to go. First stop, Beau's on their way to parts unknown.
Yeah.
They board, wave farewell to everyone, and that brings us to the end of our moon door departure.
We get a quartz called Memory, which is kind of fitting.
But yeah, that brings us to the end of our moon doors. So where would you rate departure?
You know what? That's a 5 out of 5 for me. I fucking loved that every moment.
Honestly, yeah.
Every moment of it, I was just having the best time. That's a 5 out of 5.
It's extremely solid. Like, gives us backstory on our favorite people. It's like a reward, like delayed gratification to finally have them in the party and be able to do it. Top tier. This is like the gold standard for Doors period.
It's so good. So does that mean you give it a 5 too?
I gave it a 5 too. It's a 5 out of 5.
All right, look at that. Can we do some labyrinthing?
Yes, I think now that we've learned the epic backstory of our favorite two people, we should go fight some monsters in a black and blue dress.
Mm-hmm. There's really not much to report from this section.
Yeah, not really.
I mean, we find a sun door that we don't do yet.
Mhm.
There's some chest messages. There's a start a new game with difficulty options that is kind of cute in the way it's formatted, and Nightmare and Other Nightmare, which is kind of fitting for the theme of this chapter, but nothing really that special there. And we get the keyboard smash message.
Yeah, that was a solid one. What else do we have? Oh, one chest I will highlight. This treasure chest was supposed to have a witty saying, but we drew a blue blanc.
That was cute. And there was another one that references that Erebonian chests don't have messages. Because at the time this was being localized, Cold Steel 1 was the next one that was already underway with localization, or at least it was out already in Japan, and they knew that it was not programmed such that you would be able to put in chest messages. I don't think they had started localizing it yet, but they knew that they would be able to. Now this ends up being no longer accurate because in the 2020s, Crossbell got localized, and they do have chest messages in Crossbell.
We'll have to enjoy it while it lasts. Not really much to say. Like, there's different enemies here. It's different colors. Great. That sun door that we found said, you need a card of destiny. And then in a chest a little bit later, you find a destiny card.
Yeah.
So I think those are probably going to go together.
And then we get a ceiling stone.
Yeah, another ceiling stone.
There's something right next to the ceiling stone that they're gagged about. Well, Reese doesn't know what it is, but everyone else. And we pan up, and it's powder matter.
Just hanging out in the void like the assay was.
Yep. They're not hiding who this is going to be.
With the ceiling stone sitting ominously right in front of it. So, I was getting Dark Souls vibes in this moment, that I was like, I'm going to pick up that ceiling stone and then I'm going to have to fight Patamata.
And it's going to attack me. But it didn't.
Not the case, thankfully.
I also had Teoh with me in the party at this point, which I was glad about. Because she also, she doesn't say anything that crazy, but she's also clearly shaken and excited and nervous about who it is. Estelle picks it up instead of the party leader, Reese. I like that they have it be, kind of like how Joshua took the Estelle one, Estelle takes the Ren one. And it's like, after all this time, we finally found you. And we'll hear more about this later. But we haven't really heard anything about what they were doing abroad other than traveling and doing bracing work. And now this is their hint that there was a purpose, there was a mission to their travels. They've been looking for Ren. And Teoh giggles at this like a happy hee-hee. You ready to go get the ceiling stone open?
We better. We head back to the garden, and Estelle gets to do the unleashing as well, which is very sweet. Another gate unlocks in the Umbral Labyrinth ready for us later on. And I was so worried this was going to be some sort of fake out, that it wasn't going to be her.
No.
But no.
Sometimes we get nice things.
Sometimes we get nice things, like a tiny murderous girl child named Ren.
I cried in this scene. Not heavily, but I was choked up at a certain point. I was just so happy.
I was very excited, yeah.
But Ren is asleep, curled up. And Estelle is just like, I can't believe it. Joshua and her, it's like they're whispering to each other. And then, about how they finally found her. And then Ren starts saying in her sleep, saying Papa, Mama. And Estelle and Joshua are immediately, clearly upset. There's so much subtext that, Reese has no idea what any of this is. But, there's every, dot is so loaded.
Yeah.
And Ren slowly wakes up, doesn't know where she is, but it's like, oh, this must be a dream. Estelle seems to start crying and calls Ren's name, rushes over and falls to the floor to hug her. And Ren is like, oh, this is such a nice dream. Oh, Estelle, silly, you're supposed to be older. You're acting like a kid. Oh, you smell so nice. You're so warm. It's almost like this isn't a dream, as they hug. And then Ren realizes that it wasn't a dream and, throws Estelle away from her and jumps up. This is so short-lived, this sweet moment.
Yeah, freaks out.
But you can tell with Ren's face, it's a very distressed face. She's really upset.
Yeah, she goes straight into society mode and says, stay back or I'll do a murder on you. And Josh takes over and confirms, yes, hey, Ren, I'm glad to see you're here. I'm glad you're safe. And confirms that they have been sort of following her trail, trying to catch up to her. And that they were currently in Crossbell at the time that they were sent to Phantasma.
There's something about the way they're approaching her that reminds me of, training to, approach trauma victims, and that you'd see someone rescuing a kidnapping victim or something like that, how to approach someone who's gonna be scared and to try and make them know you're safe. They're slowly walking towards her. They're it kind of reminds me of that almost. It's they've thought about how they're going to try and approach her in a way to not freak her out.
Ren is not getting the vibe. She kind of defaults to thinking that they're trying to capture her.
She's freaked out that they're in Crossbell.
So obviously they are hot on the trail, it sounds like. She's like, oh, I get it. You're trying to capture me. Well, it's too bad. You've already gotten information out of Joshua. I don't know more than him. And even if you torture me or whatever, you'll never get a word.
And the fact that she's even thinking along those lines has, of course, got Estelle and Joshua really upset. I just love the fact that ever since that confrontation that they had on the Oriole, all Estelle's been thinking about is making sure this kid has a safe home.
Yeah, he's been locked in for quite some time. Whether Ren was ready to receive that help or not, she knew it was the right thing to do.
Yeah, but Ren is like, well, I guess I have to fight all these people now, or, she's like, I probably can't fight all of you, but I'll definitely kill a few of you in the process, and she whips out her scythe.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, Reese is like, fuck, I don't care, I'll murk a small child. Reese does make the very logical point. I've read about you, I know you're hyper-intelligent, so I'm sure that by now you know that this is not a trap to try and capture you, you're just throwing a temper tantrum.
You're too smart to have this misunderstanding about the situation. So, while I'm not familiar with your circumstances specifically, could you maybe behave like less of a spoiled little brat in this moment? And Ren's like, the fuck did you call me?
It's almost framed as though, like, the bluntness, like, it's like maybe it'll be one of the situations where being super blunt is gonna snap her out of it. No, not Ren.
Yeah.
Ren's like, oh, okay, you want to play ball. Okay, lady. Let's kill each other.
Yeah, you want to go? You want to go? They're so ready to, like, launch into a one-on-one fight to just, like, beat the hell out of each other, at minimum.
And it's very funny. She's like, I don't know why everyone else is being nice to you. I don't want to be friends with someone from Ouroboros. I'm happy to battle you. Ren does the thing where she starts to more and more dramatically talk about how horribly she kills everybody when she wants to be intimidating, which just has become cute, almost. Like, not, but she's like, oh, everyone squeals like a pig when I kill them. And it's like, by now we know that she does this. This is her version of Joshua being like, I'm a broken doll nobody can talk to.
Yeah.
It's her, like, toxic edgelord trait.
Teeter is not having it. She leaps into the fray and says, you all need to chill out.
Stop it.
And, like, one by one calls everyone else, like, Ren, you need to stop trying to make the situation worse. Reese, you need to back up.
Stop trying to fight a child.
Everyone just needs to calm down and stop making the situation worse. I'm sick of it.
Yeah, and she's like, and Ren, if you really didn't want to see Estelle and Joshua, you wouldn't have looked so happy when you thought you were dreaming about Estelle hugging you, so calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
And unlike when Reese told Ren to calm the fuck down, Tita doing it works.
Mm-hmm.
Ren is clearly, she's on the back foot. She's like stammering. She's like, Tita, hold on. Like, what? Calm down. And then you can also see on Tita's sprite that she's got her eyes are swimming with tears, which is quite a cute little thing. And then finally, Tita just starts sobbing.
I love that this is one of the few things that will, like, cut through Ren's defense. She's like, oh, yeah. God damn it, I made Tita cry. No, don't cry. You're meant to be older. You shouldn't be crying. Stop it. I'm sorry.
Like, she's being sarcastic towards Tita, but in a very tender way. She's like, aren't you supposed to be the older one here? Like, come on, Tita. Like,
yeah.
Why, you're not setting an example for me. Like, come on. But in a very, like, it's a very sweet way of being mean. Tita, I do understand, Tita. I also cry easily. Sometimes you just have overactive tear glands, and Tita clearly does. Tita's also, as we know from her falling asleep in the last Hermit's Garden runaround, she's exhausted.
Yeah, poor kid.
Like, she's been awake ever since this whole thing. Go. She just falls to the floor crying. She's like, it's too sad that you see each other after all this time and you just fight and everything. And Ren actually kneels down on the floor with her. Like, it's very, very sweet. The fact that the one person that Ren's guard is not up for is Tita.
Yeah.
She's not scared of Tita the way she's scared of every adult.
It's enough to calm the situation and kind of get Ren into talks for a truce in this moment.
Yes.
It's like, look, we don't have to be friends forever, but for now, to get out of this situation, let's call a truce, let's be on the same size and work together, and we can figure out the next step when we get there.
Yeah. And it's like, I guess I'll listen to you.
That seems fair. Like, this is obviously a weird situation, and Alan Richard also bumps in and says, like, also, this creates the lowest threat ratio for yourself and the greatest information gathering capacity to learn more about your situation.
Yes.
And Ren's like, a kindred spirit, I see.
Yes. She has a really cute line where she goes, out of respect for Tita's bravery,
yeah.
I'll hear you out. She refuses to admit that Joshua and Estelle matter to her or that she cares or feels anything, but Tita is not in the same circle as anyone else. Tita's allowed.
Tita gets through, yeah.
So she's like, fine, I'll listen to you. I'll decide after I listen, but I will listen.
So we do the download off screen as usual, and Ren highlights something that no one else has identified yet. She's made a new sleuthing discovery.
Mm-hmm.
She asks Alan Richard, would you say you are particularly emotionally attached to that uniform that you turned up in? Like, do you have a strong emotional connection to it? And he's like, well, yeah, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, it seems like between that and everything else, desire can be made reality.
Alan Richard is also still struggling with everyone calling him Colonel and constantly trying to correct them. Like, I love that that's kept up even in this scene. But yeah.
Yep.
So, but yes, Ren has figured it out that it has to do with your subconscious and conscious desires and emotional attachments.
Phantasma can change based on people's thoughts, basically. That's why these memory doors work. They're sort of a portal through to memory based on desire. So that's why we need someone related to the situation to go through most of these doors, because it's their desire to relive their memories or follow their dreams or whatever kind of outcome came from those doors. And then sometimes it's a mini game because they hate themselves.
Yeah. Ren's like, yeah, I figured out how this place works. The only part I'm missing is what is able to power it or make it happen. Because I can understand the internal logic of it, but she hasn't seen the cube yet.
Yeah. She's like, the Oriole could sort of do this, but the Orioles know more.
Mm-hmm.
Luciola could create visions, but she couldn't make them physical reality like this can. So this is powerful.
She also identifies what we've kind of figured out, but she points out that the person who was here first, the hermit of this hermit's garden, is not the same person who is the one manipulating this place to their desires, whatever. She's like, clearly it was hijacked. Joshua's like, wow, you really are a genius, Ren. And Ren's like, Joshua, you could have figured it out if you thought harder about it. Like, I do like that she goes back into like this little sister mode towards him that we know she had from his Ouroboros days.
Yeah.
And she decides to lend us all a hand.
Because while our desires can influence the situation, we're not the only ones. Alan's like, yeah, I have an emotional attachment to this uniform, but I wouldn't willingly put it back on again. And it's like, yes, well, your desires aren't the only ones controlling this situation, are they? There's a certain Lord and Ritter who are also around, and they would be influencing things as well, so...
Yeah. So yes, run around of the garden.
Yeah, so I did a quick wander around. The first and greatest thing is that on the stairs up to the fountain...
I knew this would be it.
You find Shara and Annalise. Annalise's sprite is vibrating with tension.
Yeah.
Because she is trying to bring into being a teddy bear from nothing now that she knows that thoughts can become reality.
Yep.
And Shara's sort of sitting on the stairs next to her going, I don't think it works like that, Annalise. And Annalise says, shut up. I'm focusing. But also she can't decide what kind of teddy or like plush toy she wants to begin with, so it's not working either way.
And Shara's like, even if it would work, you'd have to decide on what and focus on it. You can't even do that.
Or you'll end up with some sort of horrible plush chimera.
Olivier points out that one of the things Ren said, which I kind of didn't catch her saying in the spiel, but I think that was just because so much was happening, is that us figuring out the truth of Phantasma is one of the conditions to getting out of the plane we're on and into the 6th plane. So now we're probably going to be able to get there.
Yeah.
The other big thing that happened other than Annalise is when I talked to Joshua and Chloe. They're next to the tree, and then kind of off the ledge and further out, you can see Ren and Teoh hanging out.
For me, it was just Ren by herself because I still had Teeter in the party at the time.
Ah, I see.
So it was just Joshua and Chloe sort of watching Ren from a distance as she sat by herself looking off into space, which is pretty sad. They're like, it's not the time yet. We need to give her time to kind of process before we start making a move to try and rehabilitate her or make her willingly part of the group.
Yep. I do like when Tita's over there, because I do like the idea that she and Tita are hanging out, and they do have some cute dialogue together if you talk to them. And did you do that?
Yeah, I went down and visited her. I took like a combination of Joshua, Estelle, and Tita to see if it would trigger anything.
Oh, before we got to that, I did just want to finish on the Chloe and Joshua conversation. Joshua kind of echoes something that Cassius seemed to say about him back in his thing, which is that at the end of the day, Ren needs to be the one to choose what she's going to do. She has to decide that she wants to live real life and move away from this and into a new future, which I kind of think is a deliberate echo of the Moon Door and of that, like Joshua is speaking from experience.
But when I took them down, Tita and Ren have a chat about going shopping again to buy cute accessories.
Yes.
Ren tells a story about how she found one similar to the one they'd bought together, but in red, and Tita's super jealous. She's like, oh, I wanted that, but it was out of stock.
Yeah. They're talking about going to Calvert together, and then if you talk more, Ren's talking about going to the Empire together to shop. Ren's willing to make plans for the future with Tita, even if it's just, talking like oh, we should do this and not with intention behind it. it's still more than Red's doing with anyone else. We haven't talked at all about the orbital gear in battle, and it sounds like we've both been using the shit out of it this whole time.
I haven't used it at all yet.
Oh my god, but you've had Tita in your party. Okay, so the way it works, just so you know, it's a craft that puts her in orbital gear, and then she gets a new set of crafts as the orbital gear.
Oh, nice.
She's a fucking tank. It's not a very detailed list of, like, there's only, like, 3 crafts. One, like, smaller circle, one bigger one, and one solo one. But Jesus, it hits so hard. It just one-shots, like, half of the monsters. It's so good.
Okay, I'm going to have to pull it out.
Use it next step, and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, Tita and Alan, I think, are going to be, like, big party members for me going forwards, because they are both sledgehammers, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Come on, let's do it!
Now that we've done our tour around the garden, before we head into the final leg of the dungeon, we'll circle back to Star Door 7 that we found at the start of the dungeon, which is just do a combat with any party members you want to get to see this bit.
Yes.
And it is a tough fight. It's like one big guy and a whole swarm of petrifier enemies.
Yeah, you really need to have petrify resistance.
Yeah. So I eventually took them down on my second try. It actually took 2 tries, even on easy, because they really got me one time. They just stacked. Petrify is like the most terrifying status effect in this game.
They divide too.
Yeah, they can split in half.
Right? Like, so these creatures, like, when you get them to half health or whatever, they split in 2. So then they end up being more and more.
Yeah, because I had one where I hit it and it was down to 18 health, which meant that it divided into 2 9 HP versions.
Blech.
Which isn't tough, it's just annoying. But after try 2, I did clear the battlefield, and we get a short Star Door, which is just kind of a history about Orbital devices.
Well, specifically about the Epstein, which used to be pronounced Epstein in these games, but as of the latest games, it's pronounced Epstein.
You can say why.
Foundation. We learned that the Foundation was established a year after Professor Epstein, the father of the Orbital Revolution, passed away in his home country of Le Mans. It was created by his 3 disciples to honor his memory. We learn a little about the 3 disciples. So we learned about Professor Schmidt, who was for mechanical engineering background, and he went to different corporations in different countries to, like, try to persuade them. Because at this point, they were trying to persuade people to buy into this new technology.
Yeah.
Professor Hamilton, only woman of the 3, who believed in getting technology to rural and remote regions for kind of like humanitarian purposes and stuff like that. She worked closely with the Foundation to do that. And then Professor Russell, as we know, went to Liberl and did shit at ZCF. And did airships and stuff. So, because of the efforts of the 3 disciples, other countries started to get interested in orbits, and the technology spread, and the Epstein Foundation worked with, like, basically every country in getting orbits happening. We then learn a little bit about the 3 guiding principles of the Foundation, which are, research, spreading the technology, and then contributing to world peace through technology. So the first 2 are pretty obvious, right? Research technology more, spread and promote the use and public awareness of it. But the third is this idea that something that I think is very familiar to us. Post-industrial revolution, right? There have been periods of technological discovery where there was a big idea that, like, wow, this is going to help contribute to world peace. And it's going to help us bring people together, right? Yeah. And this is especially the case because the potential damage of warfare with this new technology is so much more damaging that having peace is all the more pressing. Yeah. Which brings us to, they're about to invent the internet.
Yeah. The greatest effort we can make in developing world peace is enabling communication and connection between disparate parties. And so what we're going to do is use orbital technology to connect the world through a continent-spanning communications network.
Yeah, the Orbital Network Project in partnership with ZCF. Like, they've announced the project. It sounds like it either hasn't launched yet or it's in, like, very early testing. They're in the process of inventing it.
Yeah, they discuss a little bit how the Orbment's relationship with peace has become complicated as orbital technology has been used for wartime purposes. Obviously, weaponry has advanced. We've got new tanks showing up. We've got big guns. And so if orbital technology is for peace and it's being used for war, how do we bring the peace more about? And that's communication and connection. It's about the bonds. It's the whereabouts of bonds that really matter.
It really is the whereabouts of bonds that really matter. Yeah, we gotta mention that specifically the 100 Days War was kind of a big wake-up call because there was this real belief, this real optimism. tech optimism is such a, like, familiar thing to us, I think, right? Like,
Yep.
I mean, in so many stages, but so there was this real optimism after the Orbital Revolution that this was gonna, like, totally change the world to be, like, more peaceful and promote peace and unity, and then, of course, there's a war where they're like, oh, shit. Actually, the technology may be making things worse in some ways.
Yeah.
But now they're at the stage, which is so, like, the early internet optimism, right? Did you ever read the, like, Declaration of Independence of the Internet?
Oh, it sounds vaguely familiar, yeah.
It's like this famous piece somewhere in the 90s, like really early internet days. It was like, we declare that we're not bound by the borders and the conventions of your countries, and we're part of a future community. Like, it was a big deal enough thing, and it was really written with this, earnest optimism that,
and then, yeah.
Yeah. John Perry Barlow wrote it. You can read it on the Electronic Frontier Foundation website. Governments of the industrial world, you weary giants of flesh and steel, I come from cyberspace, the new home of the mind.
God.
You have no sovereignty where we gather. There's something heartbreaking about it, because anytime you see real optimism that you just, didn't work out.
It's tough.
But that's kind of where Liberal is in that stage, where they think the internet's going to cause world peace. Wish them better luck than we've had with that.
Yeah, fingers crossed for you guys in your Orbital Network project. The Star Door ends with the last line, in the end, one thing is for certain. Our challenges to try and realize Professor Epstein's ideals are only just beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what leaps and bounds technology might make in games to come?
Who's to say? Well, we're to say, because we've played the latest game. But we're not going to tell you.
We'll be back for that later, in another season.
Oh, wait, we haven't rated that.
Oh.
Technically, we need to. It's Star Door, even though it's so short. Like, I want to give it points for being so short, but it's also just boring. But also, if you and I didn't know that they were working on... Because we've seen this in...
Yeah.
It might have been more interesting if this was the first time we'd ever heard that they were trying to build the internet.
It's quick. I appreciate that. I'm going to give it 2.5.
Okay, sure. Let's do that.
Because it's fine. It is intended as a teaser for future games, but it isn't written in a way that explicitly references that enough to get you excited, unless you have the context already.
Yeah.
If this had said something like, who knows what will come next? Only those living in city will know.
Maybe.
More clearly say, oh, I can learn more about this later.
The Epstein Foundation, I can't remember if it's been mentioned yet in Sky Games, or if that's also a new concept. I don't know if we know about the 3 disciples by name yet.
True, yeah.
These are things that I think, like, this is our subjective opinion.
I mean, yeah.
And I think because every single piece of this information, we know it, and the presentation of the information is not terribly interesting. Like, it's not like the Salt Pail, like, even me going into it, having done that Star Door before, knowing everything that's going to happen, the way it's written is really engaging and compelling.
Yeah, true.
The presentation of it is pretty bland, so it really depends on how interesting and new the information is to you. And I think if you don't know any of this information, it's probably got a bigger impact. But I would be curious to hear, dear listener, if you were somebody who played the games in order, what did you think of this store when you got there? Whether that was now and you're playing along, or whether that was years ago, I would be very curious to hear how interesting this door is when you have not played later games.
Yes, true. Let us know. But with that, we can run through the final section of the Luminous Labyrinth to wrap up Chapter 5. We do find another Star Door waiting for us, Star Door 8, which says it needs the minstrel, his best bud, and the beast that they face.
It doesn't say that they need the beast. It says his ally against the beast that they're facing.
Oh, so it is just Olivier and Vander that we need for this one.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought there was like a third component. Like an item or something, maybe.
Don't think so.
Oh, okay.
The mention of against a beast together might imply that this has to do with what they're working on.
Their big plans. Maybe the plan that Estelle was asking about.
Yeah.
In any case, ran through the dungeon, blah, blah, blah. There's some chests. Did you get any good chests?
You're the sister here. Does thou shall not steal ring any bells? I just thought that was a funny call out to Reese.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't screenshot any in this second part at all.
It's pretty fast.
But yes, we make it to the end of the dungeon, and unfortunately we face a boss.
Yeah, it feels like let's just do a mad rush for the teleporter, and Reese is like, that's not how it works, Estelle. And then it's even worse, because Reese smells that devil stank.
Yep.
And then Estelle's like, oh no, are the portals of whatever gonna appear around us? And Reese is like, no, even worse, they're coming from above. And then we get the first incarnation of my most hated enemy in these games, There are two particular spider monsters that we see numerous times that I hate.
Mm-hmm.
This wins out because of the whole sky thing, because that makes it even worse. I didn't even screenshot the dialogue when they were, once they'd appeared, because I was like, I can't even look at the screen.
Oh, good, I got you covered. We are presented with 3 spiders descending from the ceiling.
They're not actually attached to anything above. They just are floating in midair because Falcom hates me.
It's like the classic PS1 Spider-Man 2 game where you could just shoot your webs and attach to the sky to swing around the city. But these are the 3 gluttonous Arachne sisters, kin of the 77 devils featured in the Testaments. They weave nightmares and consume the souls of those who wander into their labyrinth. And I also grabbed their individual descriptions once I got into the fight. We've got the eldest sister, Arachne Graya, who causes status with her cold stare, by which they mean she can cast Petrify, so this is another one to protect yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Arachne Evros is the middle sister. She calls for aid when hurt and screams on death, which is a fair thing to do on death. I won't hold that against her.
It is, but you're a spider, so you should be dead.
The youngest of the 3 is Arachne Thalea. She sets an evil swarm on foes and lowers their stats.
I want you to know that I've just started looking at around the ceiling of my room, terrified that there's going to be a spider.
It's unfortunate because there's the 3 of them dangling, and then there's 2 little like fodder enemies as well who can just get in the way.
Who are also spidery, but they're not really a bother. Like, they're tiny.
They're pretty easy to take out. Unfortunately, if you take out that middle screaming sister, when she screams, she summons their mum, Arachne Zigma.
She's even worse. She's so ugly.
Yes, she's the mother of the sisters. She calls for aid when injured so she can resummon more spitters. But at this point, she was the only enemy left, so I was able to just quickly dogpile on her and spam attacks until she was gone.
So ugly. She's even more detailed. She can do all of the things that her daughters can do, so like she has all of their abilities.
Yeah.
I hate them all. I hate this. I hated every minute of this. But I did it for you, dear listener. This is the one reason I'm not looking forward to 3rd remake. I don't want to... I mean, I've seen these monsters in 3D before, spoiler. Not the exact same thing, but like the same idea.
The archetype, yeah.
But it's going to be even better graphics. I'm not looking forward to it.
Unfortunate. But with all the spiders wiped for now, we get a reward after the fight, which is a silver sealing stone.
Mm-hmm. Ren is like, oh, was I in a stone like that? Because I had Ren in my party. She's like, is that what I was in? And she's like, oh, I feel like a princess in a fairy tale. And Estelle's like, you kind of were like a princess in a fairy tale, honey. And it's kind of cute. But Reese says, no, it's different.
Yeah, so the golden sealing stones that everyone else has been have had like a warmth coming off from them to varying degrees, because we know Estelle's was the brightest of all.
Yeah.
But this one has a cool divine feel to it, as opposed to a warm person feel.
Yeah.
At which point, Schwarzwitter warps in to say, haha, that's correct.
Yeah.
Because he just loves to listen in on our conversations.
Apparently, Schwarzwitter did not know that Kevin only uses his Stigma's power against heretics.
Mm-hmm.
And thinks that that's kind of pathetic. That, like, wow, his one super power, he's got the super strong power and that's all he uses it for. He's even more pathetic than I thought.
Lame.
And then points out that he did not account for Ren being so smart. And he then kind of had to do a rush job here because he didn't realize that we were going to be here so fast.
I will also note, I had Ren in my party for this fight.
Me too.
During this conversation, she's just off to the side and is kind of like quietly dotting to herself as Schwarz is talking.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like she's making the same connections that Joshua was making when he first saw this mysterious masked man who definitely doesn't look like anyone we know.
She pipes up a couple of times, like when directly addressed, like when he's clearly talking about Ren. She's like, you're clearly talking about me. He's like, oh, I shouldn't have expected anything less from the host of Grancel's finest tea party. And she's like, yes, that's correct. I am that. Ren and Estelle are both having a reaction, and Reese actually turns around and goes, Estelle, is something wrong? Like, what's going on? And Estelle's like, oh, it's nothing. Estelle and Ren are both having similar thinky thoughts to what Joshua had.
Yeah, I've got these dots and I'm starting to connect them.
Mm-hmm.
He lets us know that this new silver sealing stone is a little bit different. We're right. It contains a rule book of sorts that we'll need for the challenges ahead, but doesn't really want to give us any more info than that.
I do like that Estelle kind of bemoans cryptic assholes. She's like, God damn it, another cryptic bitch.
We just cannot get enough of them, apparently. And his latest cryptic message about the plane ahead of us is that on the next game board, with our new rulebook, all of us will find ourselves face to face with a number of trials to overcome, including himself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, ominous, ominous, prepare, ha ha ha, boo hoo hoo, summon away.
Yeah.
So we head back to the garden with our silver sealing stone to find out what that's all about. Reese steps forward to unlock it, and as it's starting to open,
Claudia/Chloe notes that there's something kind of nostalgic feeling about the light to her. To which Cubina says, the voice of Cubina, as we've come to know her, says that comes as no surprise. And then Cubina in all her glory appears.
fully realized, not a spectre this time. She's fully corporeal by the seams because she's in full color.
And she has reception. She can talk to us in full sentences.
Yes, she can get to the key words of her sentence before she fades away. And one of those key pieces of information she wishes to communicate is her name that she can finally give us. And she introduces herself with full portrait art as Celeste D. Oslace, who is very happy to meet one of her own descendants.
It is a name I think we have encountered before in some weird towers.
Yes, it was related to the sealed area and the tetracyclic towers. We had mentions of Celeste D. Oslace as someone involved in the creation of the sealed area.
So let me check this out. But I believe it was said that the encrypted messages that we were reading when we went through the face spaces were authored by her.
Yes, at least one of the batches was definitely directly attributed to her. That's right.
So she's the author of those encrypted messages where the blocked out spaces don't line up with a number of letters. That was her doing.
Oh, yes, she's the censorship queen. But we don't get to learn any more about what her deal is because as soon as she announces her name and that she's an ancestor to Chloe, we get the end of the chapter. That's the end of chapter 5.
Just like that.
We're done. My goodness. I can't wait to see how long the opening cutscene is going to be next time.
Oh boy. Well, presumably she knows a lot of information, because now she can maybe tell us all the things that she lost reception for.
Please.
And also hundreds of years of other information from hundreds of years ago, because that's how long it's been since she's spoken to another person.
Yes. I can't wait.
Happy to have you here, Cubina.
Welcome.
She was also the person who Chloe was able to get a gospel by doing identity theft on the Oriole.
That's right, yes.
When they were like, you have like a 90% genetic resemblance to an ancestor from 1,000 years ago, because that's how genetics work.
Apparently. Well, when we dive back in for the next chapter, Lex, what will we be playing?
Next chapter, we're going to divide it into 2. So we're going to do chapter 6, part 1. Now, the end point, it is going to be after a certain boss fight. So in the broadest terms, this is going to be a boss fight where you go past a red door and then go to a roof and there's a boss.
Okay.
And then after that, we're going to stop. But we have some doors to do in the meanwhile.
Yes. What are we doing?
We're going to do 3 doors because I hate myself. We're going to do Star Door 8 and Star Door 9 and then Moon Door 5, which is the shortest Moon Door. So, Star Door 8, Star Door 9, Moon Door 5.
Lovely.
And find to the boss that I mentioned above.
Perfect. Well, before we sign off for the day, we have one last tradition to enact for the episode, which is every week we'd like to highlight one of the other shows on our podcast network, the Worst Garbage podcast network that we are a part of. A collection of wonderful shows ranging from gaming to other things, so you can have other interests.
Other things.
Yes, gaming and other things. Those are the 2 things that our podcasts are all about.
Those are the only 2 kinds of interests you can have.
Yeah, games and other. So this week's a real underdog show that needs the help. It's Into the Aether.
Into the Aether. We've actually recorded Trails-related content with both hosts of Into the Aether, because Brennan Bigley's been on our show, and we were on a Patreon episode talking about FC with Stephen Hilger after he finished it. So we have spoken lots about Trails with these guys, and they've spoken lots about Trails without us as well.
Yes, it's been lovely to watch the series slowly seep into their veins over the course of Into the Aether's. How many years run now? 8 years? They started in 2018, I believe.
Sounds right, yeah.
Goodness. But just overall, a very chill gaming show. They don't focus on the new releases every week. They just focus on whatever they feel like playing. So half the time, it's going to be a game from 20 years ago.
And they only bring stuff to the show if they have something positive to say about it. So that doesn't mean that they won't criticize things. They'll talk, about the good and bad about stuff if they have good and bad, but they don't bring something if they don't have anything nice to say.
It's nice to listen to a gaming podcast that's not gonna just shit on a game that none of them liked for 45 minutes. I've listened to shows like that, and I don't listen to them anymore because I have much nicer shows like Into the Aether to listen to.
I listen to some like that occasionally because some people are really interesting to listen to, like criticize.
It's true. I find that the tone is always reliable with Into the Aether. You know what you're going to get. You know you're going to have a fun hangout with your friends, Brendan and Steven.
You know your backlog's going to get bigger.
Oh, yeah. And you know that they are going to predict some random shit happening in gaming news that will immediately occur in reality.
Oh my god, that's so true. Apollo, it does just like lob that gift of prophecy dodgeball at them constantly.
But yeah, check them out at intothecast.online or theworstgarbage.online, where you can find links to all of the Worst Garbage shows, including us and them, and some other people also as well. But for now, that brings us to the end of our episode this week. We hope you've enjoyed the 3 weeks in a row of episodes you've had at this point, considering we sped things up with Chapter 4 a little bit.
Yeah, you're spoiled.
We'll forecast now. We're not doing the same with Chapter 6, I'm sorry.
No, we're not.
We wanted to catch up a little bit, but sounds like we're doing 3 doors an episode going forward, so we are going to need the time. So, in 2 weeks' time, we will see you for our next episode, which will be Chapter 6, Part 1, up to the point where we fight a boss fight on a roof past a red door.
Yes.
We will also be doing 3 memory doors. We will be doing Star Door 8 and Star Door 9 and Moon Door 5.
Which is the last moon door.
It's the last moon door, and it's apparently on the shorter side, so we should be okay. If you would like to interact with us in the meantime, you can find us at trailspod.online, which links off to all of our socials, including trailspod at Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky. That's all of them? Yes. You can email us at trailsthroughtrails@gmail.com. You can also find us on theworstgarbage.online along with everyone else, and a link off to the Discord where you'll find us and many other cool folks hanging out, talking about trails and other. Because those are the 2 interests, remember?
Trails and other, exactly.
Trails and other. We're getting more hyper-specific from just gaming. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to leave a review, we'd very much appreciate it on whichever podcatcher you use. It helps get our name out there so that more people can listen to us.
Promote the agenda, the Trails agenda. That's what we're up to here.
The Trails agenda, yes. We're all about promoting it. But until next time, I've been Matt.
I've been Lex.
And until we return...
It's over!
TWG, the worst garbage, the online.